King Kong, 10 times as big as a man.
I'm Bill Worcester, aka Zazubaar. Joining me, the ever charismatic and in a good mood, Dylan McCandless, Super DM64. Always happy to be here. Always in the best spirits.
I hate everything and everybody.
He has a positive outlook on the world and the people in it. So tonight we are going to be doing a very special commentary because the Week of Kong was a series of, I think it was 9 commentaries in total, 9 or 10, that was leading up to the release of Kong Skull Island back in March. We did all the live-action King Kongs, the animated Kongs, and then we did an addendum to that, where we did the other animated Kong that we didn't get to cover then because we couldn't fucking find it. So we did a pretty complete look at the Kong franchise, did we not?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, all of the films up to this point, we've watched them all, except for those silent ones that were lost from 1930s Japan. But other than that, we've seen pretty much all the Kong that there is to see in the world of film and sloppily made films out of TV series. So we're ready to experience the latest addition to the franchise here.
It is August 2nd, and on DVD and Blu-ray last week, Kong Skull Island was released. So it is time for us to do the second addendum to the Week of Kong, where we will actually do a commentary on the thing that we were doing the series of commentaries to build up to in the first place. So what a cyclical world we live in.
And after this, if you'd like to listen to an actual good and insightful commentary, I would recommend that you get your hands on this Blu-ray, because Jordan Vogt Roberts, the director, does give quite an interesting little commentary where he talks a lot about some of the visual inspirations that he was leaning on for this movie. A lot of anime and video games. There are literally moments in the commentary where I'll be like, "This is a DBZ moment right here," like shit like that.
I know one in particular that I'm like, "This is such a DBZ moment."
And I really like commentaries that are like that. A lot of times the commentaries will just be some like old dude sitting there watching this movie being like, the sound guy on this scene was a real prick. But I like commentary. What I like out of a commentary is when the director really goes into his creative process and like how he made the movie. Another great example is Del Toro's commentary on Pacific Rim. If you've never seen that, he goes a lot into like the color selection on that movie, which was a huge thing. I didn't even think about it in the theater, but you listen to his commentary about it and you watch that movie and you're like, holy shit, yeah, I really like what he's doing with these colors. It's really interesting shit. Everybody go buy the Blu-ray. All the special features are pretty good. It's still got that basic-ass menu that they had for Godzilla 2014 because the studio hates us. But it's good shit.
I would have to agree. So although I haven't listened to either of them yet. I never listened to the Pacific Rim commentary, and I haven't listened to the Vogt Roberts commentary yet, although I do intend to. So,
you can also go listen to the Godzilla 2014 commentary if you want to hear Gareth Edwards talk about the greatest movie ever made.
Right. Well, this is before he made Rogue One, of course, which is now the greatest movie ever made, until he makes something else. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the next greatest movie ever made will be. But right now,
the man is a font.
But right now, we're just going to take a look at Kong Skull Island. So, Dylan, first things first, the reason why we wait to do these commentaries until it's been released on home video and it's had time to kind of settle is to give it, time to impact the pop culture ether at large, the monster movie fandom, the kaiju fandom in particular, and see how people feel about it, and more importantly, to us, give our opinions on it time to settle, and for us to really go, well, this is what I think. So that's where we're at now, and that's what we're gonna do tonight. Lay all of that out on good old Front Street.
Also, from a technical aspect, it allows us to use the DVDs for the commentaries, which is a lot easier than trying to stream shit over Skype.
Exactly right.
A lot of
Because
a lot of the technical issues that Bill has to cut around on these commentaries is like one of our internets will fuck up, and wherever we're streaming a movie will just crash or some shit like that,
right,
and then we're spending 20 fucking minutes readjusting.
right. And
If
also,
you ever find your audio slightly out of sync, that's one of the major reasons.
or if I forget to edit out us going, oh shit, I'm out of sync, we have to fix this. Like, that's why that's going on. And by the way, this time you're definitely not going to hear me screaming at my parents that I forget to edit out, because the last time that happened, it was because my microphone recorded it even though Skype was muted, which is a thing I didn't know happened. Again, I'm slowly learning that Skype and my microphone are two wildly separate entities.
That happened during the last Addendum, the Kong, that terrible Kong animated movie?
No. That happened during the Apes review that we did recently of War.
Holy crap.
Yeah. You didn't hear it because my mic was muted, but... no, because
record-
Skype was muted, but it recorded it on my mic, yeah.
Wow.
So somebody brought it up, and I was like, well, shit, I didn't know that was a thing because I thought it was muted. So,
Yeah.
sometimes that happens, and sometimes it makes me sad, but other times I'm just like, well, I'm not deleting the video, so fuck off.
Yeah. You got to figure that shit out. But also, sometimes your dad will just like randomly pop into your room.
Figure that shit out. I mean, it's, he pays the bills, so how am I going to stop him?
No, I mean your mic recording shit you don't want recorded thing. You gotta work around that.
Yeah, I know. Well, here's the problem. If I mute Skype, you won't hear it. But if I just mute my mic, I have to mute both realistically. So it's gonna be a whole fucking process. Hopefully nobody will interrupt us tonight. But it's a complicated process.
I assume we've blathered on long enough for...
I wish we could record this on an uncharted island. So
I think we've probably blathered on long enough for anybody listening to this to pop in their fucking DVD and or Blu-ray. And if not, you're really slow. Just pause the video if it helps. It's okay.
Well, if you're still working on it, getting into the menu, getting everything all set up, let's give our what do we think about this movie before we watch it this time? Summations right now. So Dylan, going into Kong Skull Island this time, what do you think about it?
I fucking love Kong Skull Island. I was very mixed on it back in the day when I first saw it, when we did our fucking review on SOS. A little bit unsure. But since it's come out on this Blu-ray, and I've watched it now several times, because the one thing that I've been most impressed with about this movie is its rewatchability. I think I've watched this movie now over the course of just since it came out in March and now having the Blu-ray. I think I've watched this movie now more times than I have watched Godzilla 2014 since that movie came out in 2014.
That's crazy. I don't know if I've done that yet. I'm probably gotten close.
Because holy shit, it's just super rewatchable. And then like somebody else will be like, oh, I haven't seen that yet, and I'll be like, let's fucking watch it now. It's just such a fucking fun movie that I can put it in. It's like Jurassic Park. You can pop that movie in at any time, and I kind of feel the same way about this now. And the more times I watch it, the more I like it. It's interesting. It's the opposite of Shin Godzilla in that way, where the more I saw it and thought about it, I liked it less. It's just, I don't know, man. I fucking love it. It's not a movie that's going out there and trying to fucking change the world or anything, but it's just a really fun time. And that's another thing Vought Roberts talks about in his commentary, is like he does shit just because it looks cool, and like he does shit that he wants to see because he's never seen it done before, because he says that's what he used to go to movies to see when he was a kid. And I was like, this guy fucking gets it. All your movies, Hollywood just needs to stop trying to Dark Knight everything. Like, it's okay to just make a movie. It's fun, and like has a giant ape hitting a giant lizard with a tree. Like, we like that a lot.
I liked that a lot in the theater, yeah.
Those are my thoughts on it. I fucking love it. I think it's a roaring good time. Everybody go check it out.
Oh, roaring. I get it. Because there are monsters in this movie. So, Kong Skull Island was a movie that I was also a little mixed on initially, but having rewatched it initially in theaters, and then I have also rewatched it several times since then for similar reasons of like, oh, you haven't seen it yet, let's watch it. Yeah, it's a really great time. I think what really draws me to it is that it feels like we haven't gotten something like this in a long time, which is probably not true. We probably have gotten something at least like this to the extent of, oh, it's a bunch of people thrown onto like a really dangerous place where they're trying to survive against, somewhat supernatural or, abnormal, odds that are trying to kill them. So, so even something like The Descent, I guess, would qualify as that. But we haven't seen something like that I've really been interested in and have liked in a long time. And this really hit home in that sense for me because it does it with giant monsters like that we certainly haven't seen in quite some time. Like a proper people going to an island and seeing mysterious unknown creatures and doing all that Lost World King Kong stuff that we don't get to see in movies that much anymore, where it's all freaking dark espionage stuff or Marvel stuff or comedies or whatever, or Star Wars. Those are the four things.
It's interesting. This movie kind of succeeded in doing one of the things that '05 tried to do and kind of failed at. Like '05 tries so hard to recapture the feeling of 33, and it can't because Jackson is trying too hard to be like cinematic and kind of modern and shit. Whereas this movie manages to feel much more in line with like a 33 or a Lost World or a Land Unknown, where it's just these people showing up to this uncharted place and just running into monsters. Like and it's fun and it's adventurous and it manages to hit that note. It feels like one of those movies. It feels like it could have been made with obviously much different special effects back in the day. It feels like this very same script could have been, or something similar to it could have been made back in the 50s or 60s.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just because it's not up its ass about it like '05 was. I think there's more to it than that. I think there's also this cleverness to how they structure the situation at hand, which is very common in these movies of, oh, we got a bunch of people stuck in a bad place and they have to get out of it. That's typical of this kind of thing. Sometimes that's a piece of a larger movie, like the original King Kong. But maybe that's something we can get more into in the commentary. But it's a tact of just focusing on that specific element, being stuck in the bad place, that really hits home with this movie. I think the Vietnam tact also plays really well into that. And overall, I just think all of the stuff that Vought Roberts and everybody focused on really blends together into this really fun, lively mix of elements that just strike my particular fancies in terms of giant monster fare and modern entertainment. So, yeah, Kong Skull Island is a total blast. One of my favorite movies of the year. And shockingly, one of my favorite King Kong movies. I think you and I broke it down. For me, it goes the original King Kong versus Godzilla, 76, then this, and then 05 and everything else falls somewhere else. So it definitely hits up there as one of the iconic, like, well, this is one of the standard ones. This is one of the ones where it's like, oh, this is better or worse than Skull Island because this movie totally works as a, modern and effective version of King Kong.
Yeah. And it succeeds at being different. It manages to escape the Kong tropes that we know from the three previous versions that were all pretty much just remaking the same story. It goes off and tells its own story and draws a little bit from the Japanese Kong movies, and in doing so, it creates something unique, and it's allowed the franchise to evolve in a way, funnily enough, it didn't come from the Netflix show about Kong fighting robot dinosaurs. No, it came from this movie.
They didn't take that Japanese style element.
it kind of comes from this movie, just being bold enough to break away from that and being like, this is our Kong. Our Kong is different, and just fucking deal with it. So.
Right, and we can get into all the details of how he's different as we get into it, but this movie definitely hits home for me. It didn't for everybody, though, although I also wanted to say this before we get into it, although everybody's had plenty of time to get their copy ready, so we're going to get into this briefly. I wanted to say this. I think every single time one of these tentpole kaiju movies comes out now, it's just going to be a total polarizing affair. Like, do you think we'll ever get a movie again where it's like, it comes out and everybody's like, oh yeah, this works? Like, I don't think that's ever going to happen again. Maybe it never did. Maybe the age of the internet has just brought everybody's opinions to the floor, and so quickly that there's just always this constant, battle of whether or not something is good. So, I don't know. Before we get into it, what do you think about that?
It is a little different, isn't it? For example, if you were a Godzilla fan growing up in the 80s, you might not have ever seen King Kong versus Godzilla until you find like a VHS copy of it somewhere or something like that. And so you would just like read of it in like a magazine or something, or like a fan thing, and like you would just hear people talk about, oh, it was this great fucking movie and Kong and Godzilla fought, and you would sort of grow up with this expectation for what it would be without having ever seen it. In the age of the internet, anybody can just go watch the fucking movie.
Just go on any number of streaming sites and find it. I think YouTube even has a version of the Japanese version that's still available.
I have a younger cousin who saw that movie without me having any hand in it. I think her dad showed it to her, and she thought it was just the most ridiculous fucking thing she's ever seen in her entire life. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like,
it usually has that impression on people, which is fair.
I mean, it's a movie that you kind of have to watch in context nowadays. I think you need to know the context of where the series were at the time.
Particularly which version.
Yeah.
Like the American version is more kind of straight up. Like if you show that to somebody, you're like, well, it's a giant ape fighting a giant lizard. You take that about as seriously as you can. But the Japanese version is like this satirical, anti-commercialist thing, and it's way more Japanese in its sensibilities, and that makes it more complicated.
You also have this evolution with the internet that basically half of the movie-going audience has become like way more sophisticated, and they'll look at a movie and like really go into it with a critical eye, and the other half come at a movie with sort of your old world, like the way people went to the movies in the 50s, just going there to see some cool shit. And so those people will come out of practically any movie. They'll come out of a Transformers and be like, that was the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. And then the people who actually go into movies with a bit more of a critical eye will come out and be like, that was a piece of shit. And then it just creates all this controversy on every fucking movie that comes out. Very rarely is there a movie that comes out that everybody sort of universally hates. Oddly enough, for the most part, Ghostbusters wound up being that, even though there was this huge polarizing divide before the movie came out.
It's more of like some people think it's fine and some people think it's terrible.
Exactly.
And I think we fall into like this kind of weird middle area where I don't think it's fine or terrible. I think it's just kind of a mess.
I don't know, man. I have found so far that in this new age of kaiju movies, I have really enjoyed the ones that have just been fucking fun. Like I really love Pacific Rim and Kong Skull Island. And then on the other hand, you've got fucking Godzilla 2014, which is a really weird movie. Half the time I watch it and I like it, half the time I watch it and I don't like it. It's been 3 fucking years and I'm still not entirely sure what I think about it.
Yeah, I haven't watched it in a long time myself.
And then you've got Shin, which some people think was the second coming of Jesus Christ, and other people don't particularly like. So it's a mess.
Yeah. I've mostly liked everything. I've just had I've had problems with everything and liked elements of it, and that's kind of how I always feel. It's like there's no Godzilla movie where I just outright just discount it, no King Kong movie where I feel that way either. So these are things that I obsess over. So they're kind of different than something like I don't know, like a Marvel or a DC, or some of it I can kind of take or leave. But
yeah, I will that of all these recent kaiju movies to come out, and I'm including Shin in that, but mostly just the three American kaiju films that have come out, this is definitely my favorite.
I stand by, like I said, like building up to the release of this, like, oh, this looks like it's going to be the best giant monster movie in 20 years. It's probably my favorite new age monster movie. It's probably the one that I'll rewatch the most. It's the one it's the one that strikes all my fancies the most. I just think it strikes the best ratio of human stuff I like and monster stuff I like. So
yeah, and it edges out Pacific Rim for me, because previously that was my favorite of the ones, just because it was fucking a blast. Probably my favorite movie-going experience of 2013.
I like Godzilla 2014 than that, though, like by quite a bit.
Well, Godzilla 2014 has more flaws, I think, that I've seen over time. Like, if you asked me in 2014, after I saw that movie for the first time, whether I liked it more than Pacific Rim, I would have been like, yeah. After some time, I'm not so sure. But the difference between Kong and Pacific Rim is, while both of them are on the lighter, sort of just action-heavy side and are a lot of fun, Pacific Rim...
Kong is 10 times less boring.
Well, Pacific Rim had a lot more world building to do, and it gets a little bogged down by that, whereas Kong just gets to go to an island and have an adventure. There's a simplicity about the concept that gives it a lot of freedom in that way. They don't have to set up a bunch of shit, which I'm afraid of happening in Godzilla 2, just because of how many fucking monsters we've thrown into it.
Yeah, but it's like once you establish where they all are and what their basic idea, what the basic idea of all of them is, I don't think it's going to be much more complicated beyond that. You know, it's not rocket science. They're just giant monsters.
I'm just saying it's a lot of plot to weave in, because you got to explain.
I'm only worried about it because of the way they did it in 2014, where they decided to make the whole thing this plot about the Mutos, and Godzilla is just sort of this background force in trying to stop it. I don't want it to be that, you know.
I think they have the potential to screw it up by sort of doing what Batman v Superman did, in that if you look at what Marvel did versus what DC did, Marvel spent like a decade introducing all these characters and then gradually stringing them together into crossover films. DC was like, second movie, everybody's in it. And it kind of feels like that's what they're kind of doing now with this kaiju stuff, so I'm a little bit worried. You know, the classic series did what Marvel did more recently. Like Mothra and Rodan had their own movie.
Do you really think in the modern age that Mothra and Rodan both need their own movies before being added in with Godzilla? Because the Heisei era didn't do that.
Maybe not Rodan. Like, Rodan could be your Black Widow. Like, he could show up in somebody else's movie. But Mothra, maybe. Mothra has his own sort of deal. He's got his own backstory. He's got his own...
But yes.
Depends on which Mothra.
This one's probably going to be a she.
I
don't know. I don't know if Mothra needs her own movie first. Maybe.
I just feel like you need to establish these characters a little bit before throwing them all together, because again, maybe not with Rodan, because Rodan's just a big pterodactyl. Fair enough. That's easy to explain. But like Mothra's, depending on how close they go to the Japanese source material, Mothra's like a whole thing. And like you're going to introduce that in a movie where you're also having to explain King Ghidorah and Rodan and Godzilla's coming back, and you got to figure out what's your impetus for bringing him back into the plot.
Well, we gotta stop predicting about the next thing in this franchise. We can do that in the credits of this movie, because that'll build into that. But we should get back into Kong Skull Island. So why don't we? Everybody's definitely had plenty of time to get their copy set up. So Dylan, why don't we get it going? All right, let's press play in 3, 2, 1. Play. Very different opening credits for this movie as well. Like Godzilla 2014 had that like kind of creepy, like I don't know, like World War II, like kind of Morse code pulse to it. This has like this more adventurous falling out of the sky, quality, which is definitely more befitting of the adventure of a Kong movie.
Indeed, indeed. I like that these opening credits are very different than anything we really see for the most part.
What I think
First shot of the man falling out of the sky.
Yeah, that is really great.
But at this point in the theater, I just remember being like, this is not how I expected this movie to open. Like, I expected to open on John Goodman, probably, which is where we go after the opening credits. But I think I think it was a wise decision to open on this thing of Marlowe and the Japanese man crashing onto Skull Island, because it immediately establishes that this movie is more of like an action flick than 2014 was.
That's what this established to me immediately, and that's what I was like, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people, I think, were going into this movie a little wary that they were going to do what 2014 did. I don't know how you could get that impression from the trailers, but if one assumed that everything monster-related was in the trailer, then you could think that this was going to be a lot like 2014. I pretty much had the idea from the trailers that this was going to be more action-heavy, but this definitely confirmed it for me.
The trailers did show way too much. Like, we did definitely kind of see everything. Like by the end of it, like, we kind of saw all the fights in the trailers, or at least bits of them that showed us all the big moments. To me, the fights were not the thing that stuck out. It was the expansion of where things were, and we'll get to the big standout moment for me, but it was definitely more the stuff building into it, and the placement of everything around the fights, because that was the stuff that wasn't in the trailers.
You think they went too young with this guy who's playing John C. Reilly's character?
Well, he also plays his son in the credits. I think that's why they cast him. No, I mean, think about how much time passes between this and where we are at in the so-called present day in 1973.
Yeah, but I look at this guy and I don't believe that he's got a wife and kids at home. Like, he looks like, or a wife and a kid at home. Like, he looks like a baby. You know what I mean? But
well, he's got a wife and a newborn son.
It definitely wasn't planned ahead of time, by the way. If you listen to the Jordan Roberts commentary, that last scene where you see Marlowe go home was a pretty late addition to the film. He basically had to convince the studio to let him go out and shoot that real quick.
Seeing Kong this early was very effective.
Yeah. Now, one has to wonder if this is the Kong or if this is one of Kong's parents.
That's what I was always wondering about, because timeline-wise, how old is Kong? Like, how long has the Kong's been dead? They paint think about this. They paint the mural to Kong's parents on the walls of the Venture. Not the Venture, the Wanderer, which crashed in 1933, presumably. That's what John C. Reilly kind of alludes to.
Yeah.
So that must have happened like in the late 40s. So I would assume one of two things. That's either Kong is a baby, or that's one of Kong's parents, because it definitely doesn't seem as big as he is later.
Yeah, that's another thing that was kind of confirmed in the commentary. That ship is this universe's version of the Venture. The idea being that in the 30s, the events of that movie, a version of that movie happened, but they never took Kong back to New York, obviously.
Do you think they all died? Or I guess they just never...
Possibly, because if the ship's still there, I guess they couldn't have ever gotten off yet.
Oh, that's true. I guess they all died. Well, that's fucked up. So, one thing I didn't like about these credits in the theater was that I thought they were too similar to Godzilla 2014. They're not the same, but I still kind of feel that way. I wish they would have done something a little different. Well,
on the purely cosmetic level, obviously they're very similar, but they are accomplishing different ends. The post-credits of 2014 gives some exposition about, like, basically what Serizawa explains later on in the film about how they encountered Godzilla in the past and they tried to kill him. We see flashes of all that in the opening credits, and then we're explained what happened later on. The opening credits in this movie are more about bridging the gap in time between Marlowe crashing on the island and John Goodman making this Trump joke, right?
Basically explaining what happened to America leading up. What happened to the America that Marlowe left, and what happened to it leading up to now? Like that's kind of what this whole movie is about. Is what happened to us and analyzing it through the lens of Skull Island.
I love John Goodman in this movie. He really is the Denim here. He's the one who gets the ball rolling. And then he cashes out very, very quickly and unceremoniously.
He's also the morally ambiguous kind of potentially amorally motivated individual who's getting, manipulating everybody to do what he wants for a personal end. Obviously it's a different take because he's a conspiracy theorist in a way, and he's all about giant monsters, and he's not about making movies. But he's very Denim-esque, and I think that's why he was such a good casting choice, because he's still likable despite all of that. And I think that he's maybe even he's maybe even less morally ambiguous than some of your Denims, particularly especially the 70s version and the 05 version. The most morally ambiguous thing that he does is he doesn't warn them more that there are giant monsters there, probably, but
to be fair, he didn't know for sure that there would be giant monsters there. He had a hunch. He doesn't have any confirmation. Like Sam Jackson's you knew that thing was out there, and clearly he didn't.
He didn't know about Kong. He knew that weird stuff would probably be there. He
suspected. All they have is a satellite image and some old folk stories. They don't have any. He didn't have any confirmation that there were actually going to be big monsters on this island. He just thought so.
He knows that he himself knows that giant monsters are out there because his ship was attacked by something in 1940 in the 1940s.
But he doesn't specifically have proof that there are any on this island, or It would be like if you looked at an astronaut and you found out that there was aliens in space, and you looked at a SETI person who was you knew that they were out there, and they'd be no, we just sort of suspected it. We never really
exactly.
There's even a nice little joke at their expense in this scene where the guy goes, "You guys waste almost as much money as the search for extraterrestrial life," and John Goodman goes, "Yeah, but those guys are nuts."
I love that joke. See, let's talk about that. What do you think of the humor in this movie?
Most of it lands. I think there are a few moments later on where it doesn't particularly land. I never liked even in the trailers, John C. Reilly's line about, "Oh, we're all going to die, you shouldn't have come here." I don't know, something about the delivery, it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I didn't think that was ever that funny. But I agree, I think most of it lands as well. I thought that was a smart move for a fantasy giant monster movie, as opposed to the dark, brooding nature of Godzilla 2014, where we were murdering Bryan Cranston and all that.
I'm really glad that Goodman is getting some good roles these days. Back in the day, he was always just sort of the jolly guy who would be your Fred Flintstone or whatever. And now it's like in this movie, he's almost channeling a little bit of that creepy thing that he had going on in 10 Cloverfield Lane. It's almost like they grabbed that guy, put a suit on him, and told him to go hunt monsters. You know what I mean? There's just something about his presence and the way he plays things.
So, do you think that his boat was attacked by Godzilla?
I think that's very possible. A lot of people are definitely, and I'm no, definitely not definitely, because we don't have confirmation of that, but it's very possible. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Two things. One, it's Godzilla's MO. Two, the version of of events that are presented in 2014 is that's what happened. That Godzilla destroyed a bunch of boats, and then the Navy, the U.S. government attacked him with the hydrogen bomb.
Right.
But
is that the war that Reagan was in, though? World War II? I guess it would be.
I don't know. But it wasn't necessarily even. But Godzilla wasn't woken up until the 50s with in the movie. Remember, we're not talking about awakening right now.
Yeah, that is true.
He wasn't awakened into time. So yeah, he would have been on he wouldn't have been on a World War II boat. He would have been on some army vessel in the South Pacific in the 50s, some patrol vessel.
Well, that's a problem then, because at one point he says, "I've spent the last 30 years trying to prove what I learned that day." 30 years, movie would put you in 1943.
So then the other thing is that it's the Shinamura from Awakening.
Possibly, I'd rather that not be canon.
Right. Well,
So
again, it's Godzilla's MO.
There's so many. I don't think they should ever explain it. I think that we should just accept that there are giant monsters in this world, and any one of them could have attacked. It could have been Manda, for all I know.
I would have liked to have known. Only because, do you think that we need to get a better scope that there are other monsters out there outside of this island?
There isn't any way really to find out now, because he says at one point in this movie that he was the only person to survive from that boat. So he's the only living person who ever saw what happened that day, knows what happened that day. We don't even know how much of it he did see.
Right.
You know, he was thrown into the water or whatever happened. And now he's dead.
Right. In the theater, it was a dangling question that kind of bugged me because, again, it's Godzilla's MO. I took that as a direct reference to him.
Right,
and you know, this being set up for, you know, them punching each other in the face at some point. I kind of took that as a nice nod, especially since, I don't know if Roberts talked about it in his commentary. One of the post-credit scenes, he actually wanted to show Godzilla.
Yeah, unfortunately, the timeline just doesn't add up.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea is that he doesn't pop up until 1954, and then he doesn't resurface until the present day. One thing is that I think this movie nails the pace at which we get to the island. Like, everything is very efficient. Like, we see everything just as we need to see it.
The interesting thing is that this movie takes place in 1973. And it's been 30 years since the Lawton was destroyed. That puts you in 1943. Like, the atomic bombs aren't even dropped at that point yet. Like, the war doesn't end until 45.
Yeah, so the question is, well, also, they say that they established Monarch in 1946, so that would also set you before Godzilla. So then I think that the idea is supposed to be that there are other giant monsters. So then likely it's not Godzilla that attacked the boat. They just decided to make it his MO and set it with some other random monster.
Yeah. Well, I mean, destroying a boat, it's not like Godzilla's the only creature to ever destroy
Well, no, the Shinamura destroys a boat in that book. Godzilla 2014, like, we got a very real universe. This world looks pretty real to me. So, I want to know how many monsters are swimming around out there, you know?
Yeah.
Especially since most of them have such very specific motivations for surfacing. Godzilla, you dangle some radiation or some of his prey in front of him and he'll come running. Kong, just drop some bombs on his island and he'll be pissed and he'll come up and try to fucking fuck with your shit. But, you know, this thing, it's I don't know. I don't know why it's just swimming around attacking boats filled with John Goodmans.
Well, we don't even know what it is. So, I mean, there's no telling. Maybe whatever attacked that boat was killed in 1946 after they established Monarch. Or maybe they killed it and then that was the impetus for them to start Monarch. Who knows?
So, speaking of Monarch, one other thing is that... Oh, shit. Sorry, that was a fire alarm. It fucking scared the shit out of me. I was like, the movie is not that loud. That's not coming from the movie. So are you, like, on fire, or what happened? No, there's something going on. I think there's a big fire or something. I heard them going out earlier, so something big must be going on. Maybe it's a big accident. Don't know.
We've sort of been talking over all these characters being introduced.
Yeah, because that's the point of all this.
How do you feel about all of this?
Like I said, I think it's very efficient.
Yeah, it is pretty efficient. You know, it can feel a bit tedious.
76 reference, that shot. That was the first shot from 76.
yes, there are lots of nods in this movie to 76, and I was very disappointed that Bob Roberts never really addresses that in his commentary. And I'm sitting there thinking, there's no way you didn't draw some inspiration from 76.
I mean, the movie
Like,
is set in the 70s.
there's even plot details. Discovering the island via the new satellite program, that was a plot point in 76. Using seismic charges to map the geology of the island. Yeah, that actually comes from 76. I didn't realize that the first time I saw the Kong Skull Island trailer, but then I went back and watched 76 again, and they talk about how they're doing that because they're trying to find the oil. They're using explosives to shake the earth. We don't ever see it happening in that movie. It's just sort of mentioned, so that's kind of a bummer. But they do it. Rene Auberjonois talks about that in one of his scenes. Just all kinds of little shit like that. I really wish there had been an argument at some point between Sam Jackson and John Goodman about whether or not the island was inhabited. That would have just made my day. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that they would have mentioned more direct stuff to 76, but at the same time, I just think this movie is a perfect blend of a bunch of different Kong stuff. And I think that these characters are a really good testament to that. Like, we have all of our archetypes. Like, we have our Jack, we have our Ann, we have our Anglehorn, we have our Denim. Like, everybody's there. And
this scene, straight out of 76.
This is also a straight out of 76 bit. It's not as good as that scene, but it's because it's, again, they know less about Skull Island in this version than any other version, I think. They have no idea what they are getting themselves into. And that's what I think works so well with the Nam allegory, is that it's this total blindsided, like, you're gonna fucking die, guys!
Yeah.
Like, that's what's so cool about it. Like, and that's why ultimately the Kong helicopter battle scene is the best scene in the movie, because that impact is incredible every time.
That projector scene in 76 is way better than the scene now.
Well, because there's more of this ominous atmosphere to it.
Because it's a lot like the town hall scene from Jaws.
Yes, it is.
Jeff Bridges is your Quint. He comes in halfway through the briefing and is like, "Let me tell you what's what." And they're like, "Who the fuck was that?" Like,
it's not like going down to the pond catching tommy cats and bluegills. This Kong, he'll swallow your whole.
On repeat viewings, I really like that Landsat guy, the one with the bald spot. Not the one with the mustache who has probably the best death in the movie, but the other guy, the one who just had that line. Because what's really cool about him, he has this little arc that I didn't notice the first time I saw the movie, but I've seen it so many times now. I've noticed all of them. In this scene, he shows like obvious disdain for the soldier characters. He has that when the one guy makes the joke about, "You hear that? We're scientists now," and he kind of looks over at him and is like, "You guys are not scientists," and like with contempt in his voice and this look on his face, like, "I really wish I wasn't on a mission with these people." He was probably not a Nam supporter. I'll put it that way. But later on in the movie, he sort of gets swept up with Sam Jackson's crew. There's even a scene where Sam Jackson asks him, like, "Are you going to go back to the boat? Or no, are you going to run with the big boys? Or are you going to stay sitting on the porch?" And he's like, "I don't want to be on the porch." And then he goes with the soldiers. He transitions over the course of the movie. He does a complete 180, and then Kong smashes him.
Yeah, I love that. I find the most problematic element to be this scene in particular, these two and their dynamic. Because anytime they try to give him any kind of depth, I don't really care. And then I don't really know what she's about. So
right.
The scene and it's like, because the scene that bothers me the most is when she's like, "You know, I took this job because when three people tell you the same thing, they're lying." It doesn't seem like anybody except John Goodman gives a fuck about this mission. So
yeah.
Why is it such a big conspiracy that Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson are so fucking interested in? Like, I don't think they have any reason to be so fucking like, "Oh, what's going on here?" I don't know what they're basing that on, right?
There are several of these montages over the course of the film where like characters will just be like having a good time and Brie Larson sitting around taking pictures. But what I like about this one in particular is that right after it's over with, we're at the fucking island. We spent maybe 5 minutes on this boat, and it's the perfect amount of time. I was so happy that we didn't spend half of the fucking movie on a boat like we did in '05. Partially
This
because,
movie is about being there. It's not about getting there. Look, like we're there. Like we're there already. How far are we in? We're 20 minutes in. We're about the same amount of time as we are in 33, though, to be real.
Exactly. I was super stoked about that in the theater because, we had been doing the commentaries just before the film came out, and I had just recently watched '05 again. And so I went in this movie like, please don't spend an hour on the boat. Please don't spend an hour on the boat. And we didn't, and it was wonderful. But to answer your question from a minute ago, I don't know what's going on with Brie Larson either. I think she needed a little bit more development in this movie. And I'm not sure what they're trying to do there with her and Hiddleston. I don't know if it's supposed to be a romance or what. Not really clear.
I think it's supposed to be like they could go either way, but it's more about they're just a good team trying to survive. I think that's more the impression we're supposed to get.
What I do like about her, though, is that later on in the movie, she takes a very active role in, helping Kong fight the big scroll crawler and shit like that.
That's the best part with her is all of her stuff with Kong. It's more of like she kind of disappears into the background the rest of the movie, though.
Yeah, she's not an Andero type. She's a bit more of a Dwan.
No, I mean she's more of like your modern day kind of Andero. She's more of like the sort of the progression from what we had in '05 with Naomi Watts. Like Naomi Watts is pretty strong, pretty independent, and then this is the one with the gun,
Yeah.
So, or in this case, a camera's way more dangerous than a gun. I love these two as well, Cole and Mills, the two pilots here. I think they're great. Chapman, I love as well. I love most of the military guys, and I really think the military angle was a smart way to replace the sailors. Like, I think that's a brilliant and clever way to step things up, to have a bunch of guys with assault rifles and machine guns and grenade launchers and everything, and helicopters, as opposed to a bunch of sailors with rifles and knives.
What's really interesting about this movie is that they used Kong as an excuse to do this. Not just Vietnam, but war in general allegory.
I think this has better and smarter allegory than 2014.
Yeah, there's that great line later on where John C. Reilly is talking about how, this whole movie is about war. Because there's that line later on, John C. Reilly is talking about how once they were on the island, you take away the uniforms and the war, and him and Gunpei became like brothers. That's a great line. And
everybody is on this island as a side effect of war. Well, all the soldiers are anyway.
This movie's more of a war movie than War for the Planet of the Apes. It's really weird.
It is kind of. It puts an ape into war situations more often than that movie does.
Now, a lot of people who complain about where all the helicopters come from in this scene, I don't think they noticed that deck on the back of the boat that had more helicopters in it. It doesn't. It still only adds 3 to the number. It doesn't explain quite how many there are, but not something that bothers me.
Yeah, there are a lot, but it's such a cool and clever way to get them there, and such a clever way to have the ending of 33, sort of.
Exactly.
But at the beginning, it's so good. It's my favorite part of the whole movie still. So what have we got there? We've got about 16 helicopters there, if my count isn't totally off.
Something like that. I keep meaning to count, and I never have all these times I've watched this movie. I know that there's one Sea Stallion, and the rest of them are regular helicopters.
So here's my thing. Here's why
they used in Vietnam. I don't know if these are Apaches or what, but they're helicopters. I know that much.
This is also a great bit where Sam Jackson talks them through this horrible transition through the storm, and he's like, "Listen, these helicopters are not going to fall apart. This will be fine."
I really love Sam Jackson in this movie. As much as I'm getting tired of seeing him in every fucking movie, I do really like him in here.
Yeah, again, he was perfect for your Englehorn type.
Englehorn / Captain Ahab.
Yeah, well, they really took the harder edge. He's more like your Englehorn from '05.
Yeah.
If anything. But I really like the Jurassic Park reference. That's some good shit.
He's almost like what's her name from Gamera 3, the chick whose family dies and then she like fucking swears a revenge pact against Gamera.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a similar sort of deal in this. Because you get the sense that he really cares about his men, and then he sees a bunch of them die, and he just goes batshit insane. Which he was already on the cusp of because he was upset about the war ending the way it did. He has that great line, "We didn't lose the war, we abandoned it," which is not inaccurate. I'm gonna use that line from now on.
That part of him is what also makes me like this as an adventure movie, because he kind of draws you in that way, where he's like, well, I don't want to leave war because I'm all into it. I'm ramped up for action and shit. And he wants to, and here he is going off to this island full of action and horrible monsters and drama and all that. And that's what we want. We want to see that. That's why we're going to the movie. So, I don't know. I like that element of it.
He feels, and this is something that I know a lot of Vietnam vets probably felt. I know I heard some people express this idea in a documentary I watched once about the Rambo movies. He feels that we totally could have won that war if it hadn't been for the fucking public opinion turning the other way on them. And honestly, he might be right. He feels very, very strongly about that, and so he's already pissed off about all that. And then he comes to this planet, and this fucking giant monkey kills all of his men.
Right. He's like, at the very least, let me kill this animal, as to let me let out all my pent up aggression.
I could not kill the Viet Cong, but I will kill the King Kong.
This is also a great bit where they start bombing the shit out of everything. Very Nam era appropriate.
Yeah, I like the one guy with the sunglasses that we see smiling in that one shot. I thought that was Tom Hiddleston in all the trailers. It's not. It's the guy who's in that first helicopter that gets hit by the tree.
Yeah.
And I think he might be the one that Kong winds up eating.
These CGI deer are no good.
No. Why are deer so hard to get right in CG? That was
in 8 movies.
Yeah. Wonderful looking apes. Kong looks better in this movie than he's ever looked in anything, honestly.
This is my favorite Kong, yeah, design-wise.
And yet they can't get deer. Deer! It was also nice they got Toby Kebbell to do some motion capture to sort of get an idea for how Kong should move. So he had experience in that arena, obviously.
I just think this movie does a really good job of connecting the impact of all the people and their emotions to the monsters and the monstrous setting around them better than maybe anything has in these past 20 years that I'm always trying to compare this to, you know?
I mean, you couldn't get some real deer. Just a few real deer. Why do you even need deer?
That Kong throwing that tree is so fucking cool. Like, that's so classic King Kong.
You know what? We're in the South Pacific. Get some of those like Chinese deer that have the fangs. Those things are fucking metal.
I do think that as good as the CGI on Kong is, the first shot of him we're about to see here is a little weak because it's an obvious green screen shot.
Yeah.
Like here we have this obviously hussed out helicopter shell, and then they just kind of move it up on this crane against this green screen, and there's Kong. It's a little like we could have had a better introduction, you know? This is a very video game moment though.
Yeah.
Oh, that is still very cool though.
Also very anime. It's about to turn Attack on Titan in this motherfucker.
Yep. That's a great cut.
That's how you cut away from the action effectively.
Yes. But it's also like we're going to see it like now. Like we're going to see a lot of action now.
Yeah. Oh, love that shot.
This whole bit, again, it's my favorite part of the whole movie. I think this sequence in particular is very effective at evoking the fear that goes along with seeing something like this, because you hear the pilots chatter, and they're just losing their minds. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, oh my God, what is that? Like, it's so effective at evoking the terror and wonder of this situation.
This shot like rocked my socks off in the trailers. I wish I could have got a copy of that one poster that's basically that in the background with the soldiers walking through the water in the foreground. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yep.
That was my favorite poster for this movie. I wish I could have gotten one. I like it so much better than the one that's just like the person with the green smoke standing on the Kong skull or whatever.
Yeah, and him like lingering in the background. That's a great shot of him.
Because there was a Godzilla poster that looked like that too. It was just like a soldier with a red flare.
There's a lot of the posters that are too similar to the posters for 2014. But man, all of this is so cool. Yeah. This is without a doubt the best giant monster action sequence in a long time. It's my favorite one of modern cinema.
Like, he just did a fucking Superman punch on that helicopter.
Yes.
Like, holy shit.
It's pretty... He's ripping him out of the sky. He's fucking up his hands. Because we're basically watching a pissed off dude swatting at flies. And that's what makes it so fun. There's
a beautiful bit of good continuity later on in the film, too, when Chapman sees him in the lake, and you can see the scars on his hand from when he just accidentally touched that.
Well, yeah, he's like washing off the blood in the water, and then the squid attacks him.
I'm not entirely sure where the injury on the arm.
Oh, that's a great moment.
Like, when exactly did he get the injury to the arm?
Oh, it wasn't on his palm. It was on his forearm or something, right?
Well, no, they're both there. So the blood is on his arm, but you can also see the scars in his hand if you pay attention. I didn't notice that in the theater. I noticed it when I got the Blu-ray.
I don't know, D. We'll just have to pay. I think he got shot. Because we see in this he's not bulletproof. He's just so big they don't really do anything.
Yeah. One thing that this movie does really well, that 2014 also did really well, is the sense of scale.
Oh, that's such a good shot where he leapt forward to catch up with them. Oh God.
Like, the first time in this movie, I think you really realize how fucking big this guy is that shot where right after Sam Jackson says, "Kill this motherfucker," and you just see Kong through the window of the helicopter, and then he like jumps over it, and the two helicopters run into each other. Like, he looks so fucking big in that shot. It's beautiful.
You know what else makes me like this quite a bit more than Godzilla 2014?
What's that?
We get to see King Kong fight people and do stuff to people. Godzilla didn't get to do that.
No. Well, it's one of the advantages of going with an 100-foot Kong instead of making him as big as Godzilla was in his movie. Because Godzilla doesn't really get to have personal moments with people, except for in that one scene where he locks eyes with Kick-Ass. Most of the time, he's just sort of stepping on them, or
yeah, but he doesn't. We don't get a bit where Godzilla is attacking a city or fighting the military or anything like that, where he gets to be like. The closest thing is the bridge scene, where he's menacing people one-on-one. And when the bridge scene, it feels, that's a great shot where he leapt up like right there. But the bridge scene feels more like an inconvenience than anything else, you know? Like, it doesn't feel like him truly menacing people one-on-one. Like this is right here where Kong is literally swatting helicopters out of the sky. Like, I wanted something like this in Godzilla 2014 and didn't get it. And I got it here in the coolest way imaginable. I think this sequence makes the whole movie worth watching, but there is so much other stuff that is also worth seeing.
Yeah. My two favorite sequences in the film are this and then the fight at the end. Just for pure spectacle, I don't think anything outdoes those two. Although maybe the most beautiful shot in the movie is when he's beating his chest with the moon behind him. That looks fucking beautiful.
Do you think this is a DBZ moment right here? I think this is a DBZ moment. Or at least anime. Yeah.
Sort of. Except if it was DBZ, they would stay staring at each other like that for at least 5 episodes.
Right. That's also a cool shot.
While talking about how they're going to kick each other's ass. Meanwhile, Brie Larson would be having side adventures with weird frogs that have antennae.
Man.
Do you like this kid with the red headband?
Yeah, I was shocked that I did. He was one of the ones I was shocked that I gravitated towards, because everybody on Tom Hiddleston's little team here is less fun than everybody on Sam Jackson's team. But he was one of the standouts. He gets better when John C. Reilly is there to fuck with him, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
And overall, there is a little stretch here before we get to the people and John C. Reilly where it's like, it's a little dry at the moment. I do like the approach that this movie takes where it's like, there is this real sense of people are totally like blown away by what's going on around them, and they just can't process it. So other characters are like, well, just forget it. We're just going to have to move on. I like that. That really bugged some people, though, where it's like, oh, stop doing that. It's annoying. Talk about it like real people. I think that's how you would really have to be in a scenario like this. You would have to just be like, well, we don't have time to dwell on it. Let's go survive.
Yeah. Now, one interesting thing about this movie, anybody can look at this movie and tell that these are not all, digitally created environments. Yet it doesn't look like anything you've ever seen before, and there's a very good reason for that. Some of this movie was shot in Hawaii, a little bit of it. There's also a little bit shot somewhere in Australia. But a great majority of this movie is actually shot in Vietnam, and it's like the first big Hollywood blockbuster to be shot there. It's quite a moment. They're filming places that have probably never been filmed before, certainly not by Americans. And it looks different from anything you've ever seen in a Vietnam movie before, because it's not the part of Vietnam where all the fighting was happening. Like, it's not the part of Vietnam that we're used to seeing from old videos and shit. It's like northern Vietnam. It's up where all these weird mountain ranges and shit are.
That work for a Skull Island type of scenario.
Yeah, it's beautiful stuff.
This is also a very different Skull Island than what we're used to. This is not a desert side of an island with a wall that separates off like this lush jungle. This whole island is lush jungle.
This movie's kind of, to this portion of Vietnam, what Lord of the Rings was to New Zealand. You watch it and it makes you go I want to go there. That looks fucking beautiful. Look at that tree over there. That's.
You want to go just for that tree?
Yeah, it's a good tree,
Good Vietnamese tree.
I want to go there, cut that tree down, and bring it back and put it in my living room.
My big problem with this Skull Island is that it's very open. And Skull Island traditionally is supposed to be very cramped, very kind of claustrophobic, and you're supposed to be constantly surrounded by stuff trying to kill you. And this obviously doesn't have that. There's this kind of breezy space between monsters showing up that I didn't like the first time. It bugged me a lot. But when you think about it, it's kind of got to be that way because these are creatures on a bigger scale. And it does make more sense that there are these big open spaces where they would have room to kind of move around and not be right on top of each other.
Big cows have space to graze, which they would definitely need.
Exactly. Stuff's got to live on this island.
It's kind of hard to buy in the Peter Jackson version that all those dinosaurs have just completely decimated the plant population on that island. Did you see how many of those long necks there were?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how much those things would have had to eat?
Mm-hmm. I mean, you watch the special features for that version, and it seems pretty clear that island is on its way out. But
yeah.
I like that the idea that this one at the moment is functioning totally fine, totally normally, Yeah.
Well, there's also, it's also a bigger island though. So you have wider spaces, but also the island itself is pretty sizable. Because again, like you said, most versions of Skull Island are supposed to be kind of small and cramped, and just animals eating each other all the time. This is a much bigger place, and there's territories and shit like that. I mean, there's that line where John C. Reilly's you'll never make it to the north side of the island in 3 days. Holy shit, this place is like a mini continent almost. It's certainly bigger than Rhode Island. I can tell you that much.
And there's parts of it that look different. Most versions of Skull Island have different landscapes and stuff, but here we've got kind of this little rainforesty kind of thing. And then later on, we're gonna see like a bamboo forest with the mother longlegs, and then you got like plains and mountains and rivers and stuff.
Just see, look at these mountains. This is fucking. I love this aesthetic. These just like, because they all just look like random stone pillars just sticking out of water. Like that's what it all looks like.
It's very Asian in its design as well, and that's what I like about this version of Kong to make it different. Is that it's very, it has that very Asian feel.
Yeah, I think it was a wise decision to not do dinosaurs again. Obviously, we had just had them.
I was about to talk about that. Yeah.
They decided to go for more of the mega mammal approach. Really mega everything. The insects on this island are big. Everything's big.
Well, their idea was let's just do big monsters. Let's not just do prehistoric animals. Like let's do just monsters in general, just weird stuff. And that's what I think is cool. Like you don't have to do dinosaurs for Kong. Like you can do just weird shit. Like the idea with even the dinosaurs was always let's do weird, monstrous, unreal dinosaurs. So just to take that even further is cool.
I really love these big cow bison things that are on this island. That moment in the trailer where we first see one, it always struck me as like being kind of like in Jurassic Park when you see that brontosaurus for the first time, and it's all like sort of magical and shit. It doesn't come quite across that way in the actual film, but I still get a little bit of that flavor. You know what I mean?
I do think that this movie suffers in two respects from what it's trying to do. Is this like, oh, these people go off on this crazy adventure on this island? One, we don't get enough of the wondrous nature of it. Two, we don't get enough of the fear. I think we kind of sit in this weird middle ground of like, oh, I'm appropriately tensed and entertained and kind of engrossed in the action, and I'm entertained by the characters, but I'm not in their heads enough to be afraid or like truly, wondered by this place in the way that I think you should, in the way that I think 33 did. Maybe and 76 did it with the score alone.
This is all obviously a fairly disturbing sequence.
This is the one monster sequence where I was like, oh, this movie isn't going to be boring because it won't be 2 hours of Kong. Like, there's going to be cool monster stuff aside from that, like 33 had. This is, I think, the best attempt to recapture what 33 tried to do of all the Kongs, which I think makes Peter Jackson very sad, but it's true. Because of sequences like this.
Now that I know how much the director is inspired by video games, all of these POV shots where it's basically first-person shooter and you see the gun in the frame make a lot of sense now.
I think there's too many of them, but they are certainly cool. And I've always said, like, I want a PS4 generation Kong video game so bad. It doesn't have to be. It does not have to be set in this universe. Don't do that. Do like a separate own thing that's set on Skull Island where it's like a survival horror thing. That's what I want.
This movie does wish that there was a newer version of like Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, because I've played through that game so many times. You don't even have to think anymore. You just
exactly
you just
like I want something like that. See, these are the shots. Like it kind of looks like Kamakarus with the red eyes, don't it?
A little bit, yeah. Wasn't expecting both Kumanga and Udako to be in this movie, but there you go.
There are quite a few Toho kaiju that are kind of thrown in aesthetically here, and again, that's one of the cool things about this whole mishmash of Kong continuities we've got going on.
Yeah. I kind of wish there was a Gorosaurus.
Yeah, I think the skull crawlers are kind of our nice reference to the dinosaurs. They certainly work very well in that respect. But I wish there were more reptilian creatures.
We know that there were dinosaurs on this island at some point because of that Triceratops skull. I've always taken from it that the skull crawlers probably evolved from whatever dinosaurs were on the island originally.
Yeah, I presumed that the Kongs just beat them down until they had to go underground.
I really like this reveal of the natives. You don't see him anywhere.
We got to this
Not
quicker than I remember.
it's not as scary as in '05, because this is a jump scare, whereas in '05 it's more of like a this is fucking creepy. But it's a nice. I like the idea that they blend into these walls by painting themselves with the same symbols that are on the walls. Like that's cool shit.
What do you think of them in general? Do you think that in this...
I really like the Iwi, as they are called. They're different from anything we've had before.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They're one of the most distinct elements because of our difference in narrative here. They're not trying to kidnap Mason Weaver and sacrifice her to Kong.
Yeah, obviously, first big difference. They're not black. But more importantly, there's a kind of dignity to them that you don't really see in a lot of Kong natives in these movies. Usually they're either retrospectively racist or incredibly scary. But in this movie, they're kind of like, they're dignified. They're very reserved. They remind me a lot of the Infant Islanders.
They're more like the Skull Island civilization in the Joe DeVito books.
Or, the Islanders in King Kong versus Godzilla as well.
Yes.
But whenever I think mystical Islanders, I always jump right to Mothra. But
yeah, they do strike me as Infant Islander types as well.
One of them even has that symbol on their head, which is kind of similar to the Mothra symbol, and a lot of people have speculated whether that's a reference. It is stated that these people probably came from shipwrecks. Maybe some of them were originally from Infant Island. Maybe some of that culture could have got blended in. That would be interesting.
We know that Mothra probably doesn't come from Infant Island in this version, though.
No, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of variables with that. Like I said before, I'm a little worried about how they're going to write all of that shit into the next movie. But
oh god, here we go. One of my favorite sequences. I like that we got to see the squid a little bit. Oh, isn't it so cool that they were like, all right, we're gonna have a big pond in the middle of the island, and we're gonna put a big fucking squid in it. Isn't that so fucking cool?
Yeah, well, it looks more like an octopus than a squid, but yeah.
They describe in the special features that it's like a mix.
Yeah. Well, what's weird is all the tentacles are long, and if it was a squid, then most of the tentacles would be short, and it would just have two like really long tentacles that it uses to catch prey. It's got more of an octopus approach. But I do think that this scene in the movie is when Kong looks the best, because he's not moving around a whole lot. We're not in the middle of an action scene. It's one of the only times in the movie where we just get to look at him, really. You've also got the scene where he is, looking at Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston on the cliff top right before he goes off to fight Sam Jackson. But that's just his head, and it's all at night. This is pretty much the only time that we just get to see him just sort of dicking around, just doing his normal thing.
Doing Kong stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
He looks amazing too. Jesus.
Did you see the scars on his hand?
Yes.
From when he touched the propeller earlier?
Yeah, he's got a whole bunch. He's fucked up. It makes me wonder how he's gonna fare against good old Godzilla. Like when he gets hit by the atomic breath, I wonder how it's gonna go.
Special features on this movie relating to how they made this, the digital work involved in creating this Kong. There's a whole team of people whose whole job was just to place hairs on the model. Like, it was very in depth.
This is so cool looking. One thing I'm not crazy about with this Kong is the roar. It's a little bit of a weak roar. Like, it doesn't stand out like all the other Kong roars to me.
Yeah, well, he sounds like a big primate.
I wish it was a little guttural or a little more like high pitched even. That's a little too obvious of a 3D shot, but it's still cool. And when he starts eating it, oh, that's so cool. Oh, I love this when he's slurping it up in his big dumb face. Oh, it's so good.
He does have a pretty dumb face, doesn't he?
Look at him. Look how happy he is. Oh. Sometimes it's just nice to see the king of Skull Island happy.
They wanted to give the idea that he might be like some sort of an offshoot of like being somewhere between ape and man. He has a very pronounced jaw that you wouldn't normally see on a typical ape. It's a bit more human looking. Obviously, his proportions are more human.
This is a Kong who is not a giant gorilla. This is a Kong who is some unknown hominid.
No, really, we've only had one giant gorilla version of Kong because everybody just assumes that the 33 Kong is a giant gorilla, but not so. They never call him a gorilla in that movie, not that I can think of.
Well, like, again, every version is like a gorilla is a gorilla. Like he's something all his own.
If you want giant gorillas, go watch the 90s version of Mighty Joe Young. I'm not even kidding. Some of the best special effects of that decade.
So what I was going to ask you before was, the Islanders themselves, since we don't have a version of them where they're trying to kidnap the girl, they're sort of a non-entity in the plot. How do you feel about that?
I wouldn't call them a non-entity. They exist for a very particular reason. First of all, it gives us a handy explanation for how John C. Reilly was able to survive all this time on the island, because there are already people there who know what the fuck they're doing, and he was able to kind of live amongst them. That's
There's
good.
the boat.
It allows him to maintain his sanity without becoming a Robin Williams from Jumanji type of character.
Or Tom Hanks from Castaway. So maybe not non-entity, but they don't really do anything.
They also serve, however, to bring out a lot of exposition about the island. Because this whole section of the movie,
John C. Reilly says it all. They just kind of stand there.
But he wouldn't know any of it if it wasn't for them, and they're the ones who drew all the cave paintings.
Sure. I'm not saying they don't need to exist. I'm saying they don't really do much. And I know that's kind of the point, but I wish there was a little more.
Because this whole section of the movie is essentially just an exposition dump.
That's what I think is kind of... I think this movie, like 2014, and like a lot of monster movies, has a bit of the second act blues, and I think this little exposition dump is part of that. I think it could have been a lot better. Like, I have a lot of questions still about this mythos. I want to know how long ago all this happened, number one.
But isn't this just a perfect summation of what's different between this and 2014? 2014 would cut away from Godzilla to give us some more exposition. This movie just cut away from the exposition dump to show us King Kong in the wild doing his shit. And here they are doing it again. Wonderful. It just makes it feel a little bit more dynamic. John C. Reilly is explaining, what we're seeing.
This movie does a better job of naturally connecting the human stuff and the monster stuff.
Yeah. Well, it helps because Kong and all the monsters are just like been on this island, so it's one centralized location. They don't have to cook up reasons why, the main character follows Godzilla to San Francisco, for example.
Right. I just think that they had more room to play with this scenario. There was more kind of forceful construction going on with Godzilla 2014,
Yeah. Again, it's kind of like what I was saying with Pacific Rim. It had a lot of world building to do. I think you can get bogged down in that if you're not careful.
I wish Godzilla had more world building though. I just wish I had less of Aaron Taylor Johnson eating cake with his family.
All right, now here we have the first shot in the movie of the skull crawlers, and this is just the moment that I would like to take to say, much like my prediction about Rogue One coming true, I was right, motherfuckers. In his commentary, Jordan Vogt-Roberts pretty much confirms that these skull crawlers are inspired by the two-legged reptile from 33. I've been saying it all along, ever since I first saw them in the trailers, and it is indeed true. With some other inspirations put in as well, he also talked about the first angel from Evangelion.
Technically the third angel, but the first one that in the first episode, yeah.
We've talked about this. The one from the first episode. The first one you see. Nobody gives a shit about what was in the basement. but you can totally tell, especially given the color scheme. He also talks about Cubone, the Pokemon. So
I can
those are
see
your
all
three
that. Yeah.
those are your three inspirations for the skull crawlers.
Yeah, I like the skull aesthetic. I mean, it's Skull Island, so that's nice.
Do you remember what the big one's name is? Like they never
Rama
say it in
Rock. I wish they did say it in the movie, but yeah, they don't.
Ragnarok? Ragnarok? What?
Rama Rock.
Ramarok.
Yeah.
wonder if
I wish it had more of like a mythos to itself, you know?
I wonder if that's what the Iwi call it. 'Cause
Well, yeah.
obviously the Iwi must have a word for these things, but John C. Reilly's like, they won't speak of it. And I'm like, well, why are they Voldemorting these things? You got to have a word for things, or else you're just setting yourself up for failure.
I wish we just had more mythos to the skull crawlers like we do with Kong. You know, Kong's their protectors, and I mean, we don't know where they come from either, but
Yeah.
you know,
And these birds are really weird.
not my favorite creature design.
They're clearly just pterosaurs with fucked up looking heads and blue blood for some reason. Did you notice that they had blue blood?
Mm.
They're very royal, those Skull Island pterosaurs. But interesting that both of the people from Straight Outta Compton make it through this movie alive.
I like that he kills these things unnecessarily, and then one of them takes out one of the humans.
In fact, you
on.
would typically come into one of these movies expecting one of the black characters to die very quickly, and almost the first one. But there are three prominent black characters in this movie. The only one who dies is Sam Jackson, and it's near the climax.
He gets killed like it's a big deal.
Yeah, and it's his own dumbass fault for trying to throw in a one-liner before he just pressed the fucking button. All he had to do was press the fucking button.
Do you think that would have killed him?
I mean, that seems to be the idea, yeah.
D, we got to pause the movie again. Mine's skipping a lot. I need to give it a second. Where are you at?
57:13.
My God, you're like 30 seconds ahead of me.
Wow. It's so weird that you're the one having all the technical issues tonight. It's usually
VLC
me.
has been giving me a hard time. Or maybe it's just this DVD.
Huh. You should probably test that later, put in a different DVD, see if it plays all right.
Yeah, well, I'm dead tired. I was gonna play Castlevania after this, but that ain't happening.
Well, maybe not tonight, but
Yeah. All right.
you know what I mean. You should probably... Well, actually, you know what would be an easier test? Try the DVD in something that isn't your laptop and see how it plays out.
Yeah, we'll do. All right, well, let's get back into it though. I'm looking at Tom Hiddleston and Red Bandana Kid.
Really? Because I'm looking at the boat.
Maybe I'm...
Did you go to 57 minutes and 13 seconds?
Yes.
Huh. All right, hold on. Let me try
Well,
something.
fuck, now I gotta go back.
What do you mean you gotta go back?
I think I went ahead a little too far. Hang on.
Yeah, when I pause my movie right at 57 minutes and 13 seconds, I'm looking at the boat. Red Bandana Kid is on the boat, kind of bending over, looking into the boat. I can also make out the Landsat guy. I can see John C. Reilly.
I know where you're at. I can't get it there. Every time I try, it's this next frame where they're looking into it. Fucking forget it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's way less than where we were before. All right, so let's press play. In 3, 2, 1, play.
Yeah, I think if Sam Jackson had just pushed the button, it would have fucking killed Kong. That seemed to be the... I mean, they had him pretty much down. Like, they had napalmed his ass. He was lying there. They had placed the charges.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Vietnam-era explosives. I think it would have been enough. Now, in the next movie, when he's fighting Godzilla, and he's, hopefully not just as big as Godzilla, because I think that would be stupid, but much closer to Godzilla size, then we could talk about whether or not he would be killed by explosives. But at only 100 feet...
Right. I think this is also a nice way to keep the plot moving nicely, is to give them a means to travel on this giant island.
Yeah, how do you like this boat that's assembled out of airplane parts?
I like it a lot. I think it's cool.
Strangely enough, in this movie about giant apes fighting giant lizard creatures, it's one of the more outlandish elements, isn't it?
I guess it kind of is, because the fact that he's able to put it together calls into question, like, well, how much does he know about engineering? Maybe Gunpei did it.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
Gunpei is the engineer.
Well, they were both pilots. I think you have to have some level of knowledge about that sort of thing to become a pilot, especially in the military anyway.
What do you think
He has been on the island for 28 years, and I'm not sure exactly how long of that Gunpei was with him before he died, so they did have plenty of time to figure it out.
What do you think of the wall in this version?
I like the wall. I like that it's not to keep Kong out for once.
It's another interesting difference.
I mean, I guess the idea was always, even on the old school islands, the wall wasn't just there to keep Kong out. It also would have obviously kept the dinosaurs out, or the giant snake if it's 76. But I like in this movie that it specifically stated that they didn't build the wall to keep Kong out. Now, one thing that always confused me about this: why did they not see this helicopter on top of this cow when they first came to the village? Because it must have been there since they got on the island, since Kong knocked all the helicopters down. I guess maybe they came through a different entrance, and this is a different side of the territory, maybe?
Must have. This bit doesn't make any sense. It bothered me in the theater. Why does she try to lift the helicopter? Like, she should know that, like, nobody could really budge that thing, I would imagine. It's a full fucking helicopter. Like, realistically, it would require fucking Kong to show up and lift it, you know?
Can you imagine, though, if she managed to pull it off because of, like, adrenaline or some shit, and then years later she's being interviewed about it, and she's like, I was lifting up the helicopter.
I was about to say that, yeah. That is a cool shot.
No, but I guess the idea was she felt like she had to try, even though realistically she probably wouldn't be able to do it.
She might have been able to budget enough that it could do the rest, but it was kind of a fool's errand. Definitely something that she was definitely lucky Kong showed up.
I just don't think she was thinking logically. You know, she's a woman after all.
Do you think that was a nice little moment between her? Do you think that was a nice little moment between her and Kong there to kind of set the seeds of their relationship as early as possible?
Yeah, I think that was sort of the start of that. And I like that it's not a romantic relationship. It's respect, I think. I think Kong respects her. He knows what she's about.
Compassion, kinship.
He knows what she's about. It's the same thing he's about. They're on the same page.
Protecting cows.
Well, protecting the island, protecting the cows, protecting... Just keeping everything running smoothly, I guess.
Taking pictures.
That's what I want. I want a movie of Kong taking pictures.
Kong becomes an artistic photographer.
It's a giant camera.
I really like that idea of, like, you don't make an enemy. There's no enemy until you go looking for one. But John Goodman came here looking to wipe Kong out as an enemy by default. So does John Goodman. Although so does Sam Jackson has more, of a direct reason to have those kind of feelings because Kong killed all his men.
Yeah, but this movie, I think, now that I've seen it so many times, is a lot smarter than people give it credit for.
I totally agree. I think that the comparison to Fast and Furious that I've heard so many times is only valid in the sense that this is a very simple story. Yeah. And this is totally a movie that is action driven. It's totally a movie that is driven by the action, not by the emotions of the characters. But I think I think intelligence wise and how it blends all of that together to be built around the action is very smart.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's an action adventure story. Aesthetically, it's practically a fucking cartoon, and I think that's what throws people off. But in reality, thematically, it's got this whole other layer going. Like I said, it's a movie about war, and not just like a particular war. Like it's obviously drawing a very clear Vietnam parallel for anybody who can't read much deeper into it. But if you can look a little deeper into it, you realize it's about war in general. It's that line that you were just talking about, where there's never an enemy until you go looking for one. The line where the line later on when John Goodman talks about how him and Gunpei became like brothers once the war was gone. All of that is a hell of a lot better than Brie Larson's on the nose kind of I'm an anti-war photographer thing.
Well, it's also just like the whole idea of dropping all these people into this horrible monster-filled island, and in reality, the fact that they're going into it with guns and explosives makes it 10 times worse, you know?
Yeah, I love this giant stick bug.
Yeah, it doesn't really get much of a to-do. Like, I wish more of the monsters that we see got more of a to-do, which I guess is just more of a testament to the quality of their design. Like the Meyer squid, you know, our big King Kong versus Godzilla octopus reference thing.
Yeah. I like that the arthropoid life on this planet has clearly tended towards camouflage.
You keep saying planet. I know you mean island, but it makes me laugh.
Did I say planet?
Yes. That's great! Wow, I forgot about that shot. That's awesome.
Yeah, all the arthropoid life on this island seems to tend towards camouflage. You have big stick bugs. You have spiders whose legs look like bamboo so that they can hide in bamboo groves. That was a brilliant idea. I always love that.
This is just
this is the thing that I don't like that kid with the red bandana in, because I don't like that line. This is the news. I don't know. It's not even a bad line. There's just something about his delivery that irks me. Nah.
It's also like there's a very big difference between Rock and Swing Kid. To compare them is to miss the point of Rock.
And Swing.
Although I think he's just talking like popularity-wise. I get what he means, but it's not a funny line or it's not a witty line.
Again, I don't think it's a bad line. There's just something about the way he delivers it. It makes me want to punch him in the face. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I think there's some improv with John C. Reilly in this movie that doesn't always work as well. The bit here where he's like, I'm going to stab you by the end of the night. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like, okay. I think there's some moments where he's trying to play off how awkward and socially maladjusted he is because he's been on the island, but it doesn't always work to me. The Aurora Borealis I find very interesting. I don't understand how the fuck it works. I guess the lightning storms create a weird magnetic field around the island, but I don't know.
Also, I don't think the Aurora Borealis, which is the one up north, is the only aurora. Like, I think they can happen in other places, so I guess this island just has one, and we never knew about it before because we never discovered this island before.
This is a character-building moment that doesn't work for me. All the stuff with, like, the soldiers does, like, with Cole and Mills and Chapman, all that totally works. I don't give a fuck about Tom Hiddleston's dad.
Now you were talking about John C. Reilly's improvisation and how it doesn't always land. I agree, but there are also a couple moments that, honestly, I didn't know that were improvised until I listened to the commentary. First of all, the line about the big fucking ants, that's improvised. I could tell that, but I actually do like that line. But the one that sticks out to me, when they're on the boat and they're talking about how they put a man on the moon, and he asks, like, oh, what's he doing up there? And what's he eating and all that shit.
Yeah.
That was all improvised.
That's really funny, yeah.
And it all sounded so natural. Like, I figured that was probably in the script.
That makes sense that was improvised, but that was all very funny.
If I was writing a script about a guy who'd been stranded on an island since World War II and then he runs into some people from the 70s, I probably would have a moment like that where they're talking about, like, the shit he's missed in the meantime. Like, that makes perfect sense to me. I would have just assumed that it came from the script, but no, improvisation. I like that we do have a mountain on this island that looks like a skull. That's a classic.
Well, we have Kong's lair from the traditional mythos, which is nice.
Yeah. The entire island looks like a skull in this version, which leads me to believe, is that why they call it Skull Island? And if so, how did they know that it was shaped like a skull if they didn't have satellites yet?
I think the name of the island comes from the fact that everybody who's been on it has been killed, and also the fact that there is a mountain on it that looks like a skull.
Possibly. But if nobody who's ever been there has lived to tell the tale or gotten off the island, how would anybody know? Like, how did the legend start?
You'll have to ask the writer.
How many of them are there?
I think
gonna
there's
email
just
them.
two, maybe
Email
three.
them. No, I'm not. I don't have their email address. I love John
This
C.
movie,
Reilly.
whenever I watch it, it's always better paced than I remember it being. Like, this stretch always felt like a fucking slog to me, but it's totally not.
I like that John C. Reilly because he was living on this island for so long with a Japanese man as his only comfort. He almost comes across as like, even though he's this fucking guy from the 40s and he's so typically guy from the 40s, he's also a little bit of a weeb. He carries around a samurai sword. He speaks Japanese later on in the film. It's weird. It's this other side to his character that's interesting, just because of what he's been through. He has this sort of appreciation for Japanese culture that you wouldn't normally find in a man from the 40s. It's a nice contradiction.
It's also interesting because he fought in World War II.
Right, yeah, exactly.
This is all good shit, man. This movie is just a constant stream of good bits.
John C. Reilly should realistically what John C. Reilly should become saying in this scene is, "This island sucks. Come with me." But
They don't really have room for them.
But it's been a steady as a joke about how they should look him up if they ever come to Chicago. So I guess.
Do they even know his real name?
I don't know. At a certain point, this movie pretty much becomes his story, doesn't it?
He's probably the best human character.
He bookmarks the story. It opens on him, and it closes on him. And I don't know if we really need that scene during the credits, but whatever.
Oh, it's great. It's really good. I love that bit.
I like how the wall opens.
Yeah, that is cool. Well, so did the old one.
And it seemed, well, yeah, but this one opens like in a very creative way. Didn't you just see that with the thing? I wasn't saying I like this wall because it opens. I was saying I like the way that it opens.
I agree. Hey, man. I like the way the wall opens too. You don't got to argue with me. Another thing that kind of bugged me in the theater, I don't really think it's a real problem. I just think it's something that sticks out to me still. There's a lot of walking around, you know? King Kong, they're on an island trying to survive. That's kind of a thing that's going to be there, but it stuck out to me a lot because of how open the island is.
What I like about it is in most of the scenes where they're just walking around and there's not a whole lot of action going on, usually it's done very briefly. He does montage a lot. He's a fan of montage.
I think it's one of the things that draws attention to the kind of bizarre structure of the narrative, though, that's different than all the other Kongs. Because, again, this whole thing is on the island. The whole crux of the story is getting on and off the island, you know? So, the whole end game is there. And I think it leads to this weird bit in the middle where it's like, well, usually we would be trying to get off the island now, but now we're trying to not contrive reasons to be stuck here, but we're dealing with all the consequences of being here, and then we're going to have to get out of here. So,
yeah. What's interesting about this particular version is that they can't just go back to the boat and get off the island. Like, that's always an option in 33 or 05 or 76.
They're truly stuck there, and they have no way to communicate with the boat.
Denham always has the option to say, you know what, screw in, we got to get off this island. In this version, yeah, they're stuck. They're stuck until the helicopters come to get them.
I really like that things are made that simple. Again, I think it's one of the things that it was a smart creative choice that leads the action-driven nature of this to make sense. So we don't have some constant overhanging like, oh shit, we gotta look for the scared girl. You know, it's like, oh, well, we're just trying to survive and find each other. But again, I do think that it leads to this weird bit in the middle where we're like, well, now what? Like, what are we gonna do to keep things going?
Oh, this is my favorite death in the movie.
It's one of mine as well, yes.
10 out of 10. It's even better than the pterodactyl death from Jurassic World.
It's one of my least favorite first-person shooter moments, though. I like how long it takes him to die.
I actually like the use of the first-person shooter in that particular instance because it was a nice way of visually illustrating the fact that they can't get a good shot, and that's why they don't even try to shoot the things. Because if you just had this same exact scene without that shot, I feel like you would watch the scene and be like, why didn't they even try to shoot them? They like raise their weapons up and then they put them back down. Like try to help the guy.
True. I kind of got that sense from the get-go, but I see what you're saying.
It's almost like without that shot, it's almost like Tom Hiddleston was like, that guy was a dick anyway.
Which is not wrong.
He's the most believable character in the movie, though, that dead guy. Because the whole time he's like, this is a bad idea. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. This is a pretty bad idea.
Who?
The guy who just died, mustache guy.
Oh. Well, everybody in this movie who just talks about how bad the whole situation is the smart characters. Sam Jackson is insane. Tom Hiddleston is just a sociopath. And
a little bit on the crazy side. I wouldn't say he's as insane as Sam Jackson gets, but he's...
I mean, John C. Reilly's got talking to voices in his head. John Goodman is hunting monsters. And fucking... Cole fucking doesn't even know the story of the Lion and the Mouse and the Thorn.
And Sam Jackson is scary in this movie in a way I haven't seen him since, like, the third act of Jackie Brown. Like, holy shit.
They really should not try to argue with Sam Jackson.
Well, yeah, first of all, he's got a gun. And a platoon of loyal soldiers.
Well, it's also like, you're not going to change his mind. Like, you really should just be like, whatever, do what you're going to do. We're going to leave.
Well, what I think about it, though, is right now, it's because he still thinks Chapman is alive. And I think that at the end of the day, no matter how much they disagree with his decision to go, they look at it as, well, he doesn't want to leave this man behind.
Oh, yeah. Well, as long as they think Chapman is alive, it makes sense. Once we get to that point is when things start to get... Like, once they argue with him at that point, they should know that he's a lost cause.
Well, I think that's when they realize it, though, is when, during that argument, that's why Tom's like, look, I'm just going to take these civilians back to the boat, and you go kill Kong or whatever.
Right.
Is that cool? Like that.
Right.
The moment. That is the moment when they all realize this guy's gone fucking crazy.
It works then. It works. And now we're getting to the Skullcrawler. This movie is so much better paced than I always remember it being.
Although I don't think Brie Larson gives up on trying to talk him out of it until he has, like, one of my favorite lines in the movie when she's, like, trying to give a dramatic speech and he's like, bitch, please. Now, this boneyard obviously doesn't actually exist in Vietnam. This is one of the...
this is in Hawaii.
Yes, well, yes, first of all, this scene is filmed in Hawaii. This is an actual... They built, the props, these big skeletons and everything. But there's a funny story. You notice how after the sequence in the boneyard, they cut to those trees, and they have that conversation about what they should do next?
Mm-hmm.
All of that was originally supposed to happen in the boneyard, and the only reason they cut to a different location was because there was a flood and their entire set got washed away.
Oh.
So there's a little bit of a weird transition now, because that was supposed to happen in the boneyard, like immediately after the shit happened. But now, because the set got washed away and there wasn't really anything they could do about that, obviously, it's like all that shit happened, and then they walked away to a different location and then talked about it. It was supposed to be a much more immediate.
Right. It never stuck out to me when I was watching it.
It never did me either. But then, Bob Roberts was talking about it in his commentary, and I was like, oh yeah, that is kind of weird now that he mentions that, because it does feel like the kind of conversation you would have right after the bad thing happened,
Mm. I really like that the Skullcrawlers are in the boneyard of Kong's parents. Like, that's cool.
What just exploded exactly? I've never been clear about that.
This bit and the bones of Kong's parents were not... Like, they're one of the things that were really advertised in the marketing, but they're not really a major factor in the movie,
Yeah. Now I'm interested to know how on earth the one big skull crawler was able to take out both of Kong's parents.
I imagine there were more of them at that point, and it's the last of its kind as well. Well, no, of the big ones, I mean. I imagine that all those little ones are all the fresh meat, and Kong is just trying to keep it where that last big one is the only big one, you know?
Possibly, but the way John C. Reilly explains it, he talks about the big one. He's like, it's the one that wiped out Kong's family. And I'm like, really, all of them? Although, really, if you look at the bones here, I don't think that Kong's parents were as big as Kong. I think the idea might be that since he's the last, he is able to grow bigger than the other ones did because he had access to more research. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. He's kind of exceeded them all, seemingly so. I like that we get one independent action sequence with the Skullcrawlers, because I do think that another problem with this movie is that they don't get much of it to do. They're kind of introduced late in the game. It's kind of the opposite problem of 2014, where it's like Godzilla got the shaft in that, and the Mutos were way too developed. And in this, Kong definitely does not get the shaft, but the Skullcrawlers are a little underdeveloped.
I like how unceremonious that was, them discovering that Chapman's dead.
Yeah. What I like about this movie is that it doesn't skimp out on the gore. This is a proper monster movie.
Well, there's a little bit of nihilism in this movie, because all of the people are, like, they're all expendable. There's no point to any of it. You know
There's
what I
no
mean?
trauma.
It's just senseless death.
Yeah. And it's sort of just like this emotionless jaunt through death, you know?
The ultimate scene that I think sums that up is when Cole tries to do the heroic sacrifice at the end.
Yeah.
Which probably actually my favorite death of the movie, just because of what
It's
it
very
is.
Predator.
Yeah. Aesthetically, my favorite death in the movie is the guy that gets torn apart by the pterodactyl things, but that is the best human death in the movie just because of what it does. You know, what it says, the statement it makes about, like, it's the big skull crawler's bitch please moment.
Mm.
It sets up a thing that you're used to seeing in movies and then says, nope, fuck that.
This is kind of Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah.
Do-do-do-do-do-do-do.
It's better, though.
It is better, yeah. This movie is better than Jurassic Park 3.
It plays more into what film is because it's a visual thing. You can see it happening as opposed to... I was never clear on what exactly happened with John Goodman, though. So the flash went off in his eyes. Is that why he said, oh, shit? Or did he know the thing was behind him? And if he knew the thing was behind him,
He
how
knew
did
that he attracted attention to himself because of the Flash. I don't think he meant to use the Flash, because I think he knew that it would... I think that's why he was banging the camera. He was like, don't do that. It's going to attract something. And I think he realized that he attracted the monster. I was unaware that one of them had a flamethrower. That would have been good against Kong.
There are tons of moments throughout this movie where there would be something that the crew would think would be too outlandish to do, and then the director would fight for it simply because it was cool. The shot coming out where Tom Hiddleston is wearing the gas mask, going through the green smoke, chopping pterodactyl monsters with a samurai sword, like, aside from being the coolest sentence I've ever said in my entire life, is a thing that was in early concept art and was always being talked about as like, can we do this? And he really fought for it because it's just a cool visual.
Right. Even though the pterodactyls just swarm out of nowhere.
Another example is that later on at night when Tom and Bree are on top of the cliff and you see Kong coming at them through the smoke, Kong's eyes are glowing in that shot before he comes out of the smoke. And that's a total, like, anime thing. But it makes no sense, obviously, in the real world. And apparently they had a visual effects artist. He talks about this in the commentary, that there was a visual effects artist who quit production because he didn't understand. He, like, got into a big argument of, like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would his eyes glow? And then he fucking left the project.
Oh, my God, really? Wow.
Which, stick by your convictions, I guess.
Your convictions of not allowing eyes to glow. I guess some people just are really against the idea of, like, making something that doesn't make sense on a practical level.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I'm like, shut the fuck up. We're making a movie. We're making pretend.
Well, again, there's this idea that in Hollywood right now that everything has to be, like, and we're getting away from that with, like, the Marvel movies and this movie, but, like, there's this idea that, we have to Dark Knight everything. That's been going on since 2008. And only now are with movies like this and, you know, the recent Guardians of the Galaxy films even, Are we breaking away from that and being like, no, it's okay to be stylized, you know?
It's okay to be unrealistic and do a fantasy, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I'm that way when it comes to like plot details. Like,
Yeah, well, the story and the emotions have to make sense. It's
exactly,
it's the visuals and the science that I'm like, well, whatever.
right, as long as it sticks to the rules that it lays out for itself. Like when you run into a problem is when there's inconsistent pseudoscience. I have no problem with pseudoscience, but at least have your pseudoscience be consistent. Yeah, so this whole sequence here, they were supposed to still be in the boneyard having this conversation.
Yeah, I get that. That would have made more sense. But you also got to think about it. It's like they were just attacked by a big lizard thing. Sure, they killed it, but there could be more. They know that there are more, so it's realistic that they would run away.
True. But it's just like they waited until they got far away to even like have a conversation about it. Like they didn't like talk about it while they were running or anything like that.
I don't think that John C. Reilly should have pulled the sword. That's the thing that's kind of stupid. Although, of all the characters, he would be the one to do something like that. He's been on the island, so he kind of doesn't care, but...
Well, if you're going to pull the sword, you better swing it. Because you can't hold somebody at sword point unless they're unarmed or have a sword of their own. They've got guns. Like, they're not going to be held at sword point. Holding somebody at sword point is purely for unarmed people. Because...
I mean, he's pointing guns at unarmed people right now. Oh, no, they're not unarmed. They got guns.
Brie Larson's unarmed.
Oh. And he literally had the gun pointed right at her.
Oh, by the way, another little fuck you moment that I love about this movie is later on when Brie Larson shoots the big skull crawler in the face with the flare and it like hurts its eye. That's because the director didn't want skull crawlers to have eyes. He thought they looked cooler without eyes. He just wanted them to have those big dark like sensory pits on the side. And like, I guess the producer or somebody insisted that they have eyes, and so he threw that in there as like a little fuck you.
Oh wow, I love Jordan Vogt Roberts. He's wild. I hope he stays on as like a producer and shit for Godzilla vs. Kong. I don't know. Ask him to give his 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean whatever he makes from now on, I'm probably gonna give it a shot because if it's anywhere near as fun as this movie.
He's made stuff before that I would like to go back to.
He's also just... Actually, I have seen something directed by him before this. I looked into his filmography, and he directed a stand-up special that I've seen.
Oh.
Yeah, you know who Nick Offerman is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did one of his. I forget what it was called exactly, but it was a Nick Offerman special. It was on Netflix for a while. Had like a picture of a pig or something. Anyway, but he's just a fun person to talk to. The commentary, interviews. If nobody's ever seen an interview with him, go look up some of the interviews he did for this movie. Just not only will you see the most epic beard you've ever seen in your entire life, but he's a heck of a good time to listen to as well.
What's that necklace that Marlo on?
I'm not sure.
It's not a tooth. It might be a bone. Maybe it's one of Gunpei's ribs. The fucking ant joke I always loved.
I mean, I don't know anything about 1940s aviation, so maybe it's something to do with that I'm just not aware of. He is wearing his old flight suit, after all. It doesn't look like the Sea Stallion. It's supposed to be the Sea Stallion, but it doesn't look like I only see one propeller. That's weird. I didn't think of that before.
Chapman's copter only had one propeller in the prior bit.
No, because he's in the big one, the one that has the 2 propellers. You know the one I'm talking about?
There was a big one that only had one propeller, though, and that was the one he was in. It was at the front.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I don't know what their names are, but he was in it.
That makes sense now that I think about it, because the one with the 2 propellers, I'm pretty sure I saw Kong smash into one of the other helicopters and it like exploded, so that makes sense.
He got taken down first. He didn't get that badly damaged by Kong anyway. Like, Kong grabbed the back of his copter and then he just kind of started going down.
Yeah, I remember that now. Well, the first one to get taken down, obviously, was the tree. But
my question here was always, where the fuck did Kong come from?
oh, we're already at the scene that I was talking about. Nice. Maybe he came from behind that mountain right there, and we just didn't see him come in because of the fog.
Yeah, we see that he's like bouncing around mountains and shit, but he does kind of just appear and disappear at random in this movie. He's he's very stealthy for a 100-foot tall gorilla.
There is an attempt in this movie, though, to make him kind of mysterious and mystical and godlike, and I think that's part of it, you know.
Mm-hmm. A little bit of Godzilla in 2014 in that sense, where he's kind of unnaturally stealthy.
I guess if you're that big, you work on stealth, because it's not something that comes natural.
Nobody's just sensually touched my lip like that in many years. Again, we just need that nice momentary like connection of like, all right, they're cool with each other, and that's all you need.
God, I need a mate with red hair and titties.
That's exactly what he thinks when he sees Brie Larson. Red hair and titties.
That's what I want in the sequel to this. Call it Kong Lives Skull Island. What do you call a sequel to this movie? Can't call it Kong Skull Island 2.
No,
Right?
you just have to find some other thing to put under Kong.
Yeah, you gotta get rid of Skull Island. I think you gotta come up with a new subtitle.
Yeah.
Slapping another.
I don't think the next movie should take place on Skull Island. I think you take him off the island. I think that's what you do to shake things up.
Like with Jurassic World 2, they really should have just called it Jurassic World 2 because the title they got's fucking stupid.
No, I don't. I think Jurassic World 2 is an even dumber title because that's not accurate. It's not just Jurassic World 2. It's also Jurassic Park 5. So they had to do something like what they did. They shouldn't have kept Jurassic World. They should have called it Jurassic something else, or
I ultimately wanted Jurassic War, Jurassic Express, whatever. I don't care. But
the first person perspective there, I think, was maybe a little unnecessary.
I thought it was a creative way of bringing Tom and Bree back to this location.
Yeah, but creative, we've seen it like 4 times already.
Yeah.
Yes. This movie just doesn't stop. It's just like, oh, cool bit. Here's another cool bit.
This is one of the ones in particular that he was like, this is a total DBZ moment right here. I was watching this recently with my dad and stepbrothers on that side of the family, and I was like, this is what the Ozaru should have been like in Dragon Ball Evolution. Like, this is what I wanted. Longer snout, tail, but this idea, you know.
That beating of his chest is so cool. And when he just runs at them through the water, oh my god.
Now, they knock him down with napalm. Could that be a reference to Tarantula? What do you think?
This is more like what they do to Godzilla in King Kong vs. Godzilla. When they drop him in that pit. No, but they drop him in that pit and they blow the hell out of him.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, I don't remember any napalm in Godzilla vs. King Kong. But, you know, I don't watch that movie very often. It's not one of my favorites. I don't have the nostalgia for it that you do. So maybe.
They also, they light a river on fire. It looks exactly like this, except Godzilla doesn't go in the water.
Slow pan-up shot of Sam Jackson clenching fists, revealing to the trailer audience that he is pissed off.
And taking this very seriously.
While smiling. Damn it, Sam. Sammy
That's
boy,
so cool.
You could have got off the island. You could have walked the earth like Kanan and Kung Fu, but you had to kill the monkey.
Again, I like that this movie doesn't skimp out on the murder. Godzilla didn't murder people. I like that Kong gets to murder people.
Well, that's a big difference between even the original Kong and the original Godzilla. Godzilla in 54, yeah, he murders people, but it's more like collateral damage because he's destroying a city. Kong in 33 will specifically target people and step on them or eat them or whatever.
I'm just saying, Kong has an antagonistic role with people, even though he's not like an antagonist character. He's kind of our hero, but he can still do that. You know, that's what I want for Godzilla 2014. You know.
Kong in this movie, his whole deal is kind of Daimajin-esque in a way. He's just this godlike figure that sort of exists to maintain a balance, and if you cross him, he'll just kill you with no mercy. He's not as indestructible as Daimajin, but it's a similar sort of characterization.
And I get a similar sense from Godzilla in this universe. I just wish we got more of... I wish we got more of, like, that vengeful side of him, you know?
We need a Daimajin in this universe. No, it doesn't fit in with this universe. I would like to see a modern Daimajin movie, though. That could be cool. We're about to come up on Bitch Please. So a moment of silence, everybody. I will now deliver the heroic speech which ends the movie, peacefully. And the Oscar goes to...
The world is bigger than this. There's literally nothing in the world bigger than that monkey. Oh, well, except Godzilla.
In this world, Bill, you are wrong.
Right.
Even the Skullcrawler, the big one, if you measure by length instead of height, is bigger than Kong. So, not even the biggest thing in his own movie. 2 out of 10 would not bang.
So it's crazy how star-studded this cast is compared to Godzilla 2014.
The real question is, how big is Kong's penis?
No, probably not big. I mean, I don't see it. This is also not a great, like, it's a convenient, like, oh, well, we've resolved that conflict. Here's the next one.
Yeah, true. I don't like the way it bursts out of the water.
I really like the design on that one, though. It's very different from the small one, and that's what's cool.
I would have preferred if, like, it would have made it better. You have the earth shake a little, you know. Then you see the water bubbling up. And then you see him, instead of jumping out like a Pop-Tart coming out of the microwave, actually see him pull himself out of the ground and maybe get a good roar there. That would have been a much better way to pull it off, I think.
Don't you wish that we got a better sense of, like, he was coming since we got the exposition dump earlier?
Well, you always knew there was a big one, and you have the run-ins with the smaller ones to remind you that they are a force.
He doesn't have a presence, though. I wish he had a presence.
There's no way to really give him a presence. I mean, what are you going to do? Give him some dialogue?
No, but I'm saying like Kong, like a looming threat. I don't know. They should have done something. Because he just kind of pops up out of nowhere, and now all of a sudden Kong's got something to fight.
I just don't think there was anywhere to do it. I think this movie is very economical with its time.
Absolutely. I think that there certainly is an awkward stretch, though, where it's sort of finding its way throughout all that exposition and everything, and I think that there was a place for it there, but I don't know.
I think they were very
small
conscious
problem.
about that.
I don't care because, again, they are ultimately just there for Kong to punch, so, you know, whatever.
I think they were very conscious about time in this movie because not only was the last Kong movie, you know, one of the big complaints against it that most people have is that it's too long, but also, you know, Godzilla 2014 may be a little longer than it really needed to be, you know?
Also, a lot of that time was spent with bullshit.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't have much in the way of bullshit in it.
It's like this coming weekend, you know, we've got this Dark Tower movie coming out, and a lot of people are freaking out because it came out, the movie's only like 90-something minutes. Now, guys, not every movie has to be 3 fucking hours long. Like, it's okay.
It's weird, though, given that those books are like fucking super long epics, and that it's like a 90-minute movie.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see.
It is a bit of an awkward... This is one of the awkward narrative pacing moments where it's like, so Kong got taken down in the military attack, the Skullcrawler woke up, presumably chased these guys all night, giving Kong enough time to wake up and come and finish the job. It's a little weird. It's a little clunky.
I don't think it was really chasing them for that long. I think it was, closer to dawn than we might have realized during that night sequence. Dawn kind of comes out of nowhere. And we had that shot,
This is not dawn now, though. This is day.
Right. Well, we had that. Well, it's early morning, I presume. And we had that shot of Corey Hawkins and Asian chick, who's the most forgettable character in the movie. We had them earlier saying, like, it's dawn now. What do we do?
I was a little disappointed that, not that this was the climactic fight, because it's pretty fucking good.
Oh yeah.
But we saw a lot of it in the trailer, though.
This is the best tooth and claw monster fight since War of the Gargantuas. Or maybe another one that I can't remember right now.
It's definitely up there. It's very good. It's definitely better than the V-Rex fight in 05. Because it's not as over-dramatic as that is.
Yeah. Better than what we saw of the fights from 2014. I don't know if I would say it's better than the fights from Pac Rim, though. Not the Hong Kong one, but probably all the other fights in that movie.
I like it better than anything in that movie. This is probably my favorite giant monster battle, and again, in like 20 years or so.
I mean, sure, Kong can hit that thing with the tree, but Pac Rim had a boat.
He's got this speed and fluidity to him and this dexterity that monsters just don't have that always makes Kong like super badass and is why he has this advantage in a battle with Godzilla that people don't give him credit for. Like, he's super strong and dexterous and maneuverable in combat, and that's why he's able to kick this thing's ass. And it's not easily. Like, that's what this fight is good at. The people have to get in and help him, Otherwise, he probably would have been fucked. It's lucky for him that those guns still work. It would have been nice that they would have known that when those birds attacked them.
One of the first things I did after I got this Blu-ray is I did a double feature of this and Godzilla 2014. Just to see how they, fit together in the same universe. And this movie has hit on something that all the other cinematic universes have struggled with. Your movie doesn't have to be the same to feel like it's in the same universe.
Tell the same kind of story, you mean?
Yeah, well, all the Marvel movies are kind of the same movie at this point. The ones that aren't are the ones that sort of stand out now, But there is a problem in the Marvel Cinematic Universe of sameness at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is superhero fatigue yet, but there is a little bit of MCU fatigue because of a lot of these movies those movies just being the same. DC having a similar problem. They want to go dark with all their even Suicide Squad, the one movie that was supposed to be the one that was like, oh, we're not afraid to be fun, was still fucking dark and weird. And this movie and Godzilla managed to connect themselves just through the story, through the universe, through the plot that's going on.
Yeah,
they don't need
in a strictly story sense.
It doesn't need to be two movies that they don't have to have the same tone, the same aesthetics, the same everything. And
completely different story.
Yeah, they didn't do that with the old Toho monster movies. Obviously there are some similarities in tone because of the period they were made and the nature of the effects. But they're not all the same movie. They didn't need to do that in the first cinematic universe. Sorry, Marvel. The old Universal monster movies. They don't all feel the same.
Most of them do.
You don't have to do that.
This is a great 76 reference coming up. Man, this fight is great. Did you see where he just rolled over and punched it in the top of the head? Oh
yeah.
And the use of the shipwrecks is cool. It's very convenient that they were there, but it's still really badass.
if there's one thing that both of these movies do have in common, this and Godzilla 2014, it's that the final monster battle just leaves you walk out of the theater like, fucking yeah! Like,
Yeah. It's definitely better than the one in Godzilla, though.
they've introduced the fatalities from Mortal Kombat into giant monster movies.
Yeah.
And
well, because giant monster movies aren't like superhero movies where it's, you can't have the superhero just brutally murder the villain. They're big monsters. That's what they do. They kill each other. They rip each other apart.
Exactly, and it's wonderful. This one coming up just now, where he rips out the skull crawler.
Look at the look on his face. Oh, it's so beautiful. Where he's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Obviously, there was not a single moment in any movie in the year 2014 that was more satisfying than Godzilla breathing his atomic fire down the female Muto's neck. Like, a good fatality goes a long way.
Yeah. That's a great shot as well. When he picks her up out of the water, it's a Killer 76 reference. Like, that shot right there is right out of 76.
There are even moments in this film when the score, because a lot of the score of this movie is like this sort of experimental, like using sort of 70s sounding like electric guitar riffs, but like in a very, orchestral way. But there are moments in the score where it goes more traditional sort of, orchestra, and I almost get sort of a 76 vibe from those moments. Like the one where he picks her up out of the water is one. It's got more of a like traditional score quality, and I like that a lot because the 76 score is one of my favorites.
Mine as well. It's one of my favorite things ever as well. One of John Barry's finest works, if not finest. See, I like that they don't have like a make-out moment. That would have been so fucking gratuitous in the theater, You would have just been like, I like that they just hug. They're like, all right, we're through this, and now we're done.
We got out. Yeah, the movie doesn't ever really tell you whether we don't really know if that was a romance in the end or if they just walk away from it being really good friends,
Yeah, like it doesn't, like, they could date after this and it would make sense, but it doesn't, we don't have to see it,
Right, unless they show up in future movies and we find out that they're together, like, that would be fine.
Yeah, of course. Forming a relationship after this situation is fine. It's the gratuitous, like, oh, we just survived through, like, life or death. Let's fucking make out, Like, that's too much.
Only thing is, if they do show up in future movies, either they got to recast or they got to...
I'm hoping we see one of these fucks in Godzilla 2. There's a rumor that Charles Dance is supposed to be like an older James Conrad. I don't know if that works.
There's three possibilities for how you could bring these characters back. Well, not John C. Reilly, because he would be dead. He would be super dead. But the other ones, the younger ones, either you recast them with an older actor or actress.
I guess Charles Dance, age-wise, would make sense with Conrad.
Or you could put them in some kind of makeup, which may or may not look good. Or they could just show up in flashback, and we could see them, like... Because I think the idea is that Tom Hiddleston and Brie Larson are going to be Monarch agents now. There's that line where Conrad's like, welcome to Monarch. Maybe you could have, like, flashback of them doing stuff in the past that relates to what's going on in a future film,
Totally. I think it would be unusual if they weren't mentioned in Godzilla 2, given that they get tantalized with that conflict at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Which, that is about the end of. We're just going to get the little bit here wrapping up with Marlowe, which, I really like. This hit me a lot in the theater. I was like, oh, it's nice that he gets to go home. I think that he's like the only real emotional core in this movie, and that's why I think it works so well.
And I get the idea of bookending the movie with Marlowe. He was at the beginning, now he's at the end. We're seeing his story brought to completion. The only reason I'm not sure if we really need it is I thought that last shot of Kong coming out in his eye was just the perfect shot to end the movie on.
Well, this is kind of the credits roll type of thing, and I think that works about it. I do think that they should have just started playing the credits like a second or two ago, but they're gonna do. See, it's like the credits roll. So I think that I wish more movies did this. I miss this, the watching stuff during the credits. you know?
Yeah. Used to be a lot of movies would do that thing where during the credits you would have like uh, titles pop up on the screen telling you what happened to the characters after the events of the movie. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
They only do that. They only do that for like docudramas now, but that used to be a thing. Like,
right. Oh, he's got a hot dog and a beer. See, that's a nice callback to earlier.
yeah, I don't connect to this emotionally. Yeah, I don't like baseball. I prefer liquor to beer. I'm pretty indifferent to hot dogs.
Yeah, but you relate to chilling though. Like that's more of he's just chilling, as opposed to desperately trying to survive on an island. Well, all right, D. Now we just gotta wait for the post credits shenanigans, and that'll be it. So, closing thoughts. What did you think this time?
Pretty much the same thing I said during the intro there. I really love this movie. The more times I watch it, the more I like it.
I had less problems with it this time than I did the last time I watched it. The pacing problems that I think, plagued my love for it so much in the past, I think don't really factor in that much. This is a pretty tightly paced movie.
Yeah, and that's good because all the best Kong movies are. They're 3D, 76,
which is one of our that is more problematic than 33 in this movie in terms of pacing. I think because of how it's a little bit longer than this one.
What, 76?
Yeah, pretty sure.
I don't think it's longer than this one, is it?
Isn't it over 2 hours?
Maybe you're right. I don't know.
Because this is under 2 hours, which is fucking glorious. But I'm pretty sure 76 is a little over 2 hours. Oh, there we can see the squid on the wall there. That's cool. So maybe we should take this time to talk about some of the monsters that were cut out. There were some things. There was a giant crocodile thing that was cut out. That was supposed to stalk the boat. I really wish they would have left that in, only because the stuff on the boat would have been nice if they would have had something threaten them there except the bird,
Yeah. I'm really upset that they didn't do the big tiger, just because it would have been
Big
nice.
tiger would have been nice, yep.
I don't know how I feel about that. It was supposed to have, like, antlers or some shit. I don't know how I feel about that.
Oh, come on. That would have been awesome.
But I do wish they had done some version of the tiger, because we don't have any predatory mammals in this movie, and I think that would have been a nice addition to the ecosystem.
There were probably other ones. Oh, there were these weird raptor-like things from the comic that aren't in the movie. They're called like death runners or whatever. They're like hairy velociraptors. They're pretty cool. I do wish we would have seen them, but
you know what the comic should do? I would totally do it if I was running the comic.
What?
Show these fucking ants that John C. Reilly invented in his ad-libbing.
If he wasn't kidding, yeah.
I want to see those fucking ants.
In the commentary, is it specified that those are supposed to be a real thing?
Well, no. But he doesn't really say anything to suggest that it was just a joke either. He does say that line was improvised. So.
So John C. Reilly came up with the canon mythos of giant ants on Skull Island.
Yeah. Ain't it neat?
I'm sure he's very happy.
It completed his life. He can die happy now.
Of all of the creatures, which one would you have liked to have seen the most? For me, it's the big crocodile thing.
Like I said, I wanted the big tiger because, well, I didn't want it because I didn't know that was a thing that could have happened. But after I found out that they could have had a big tiger in the movie, I thought, oh, they should have done that. Because, again, there's no predatory mammals in this movie. The only mammal that ever poses a threat to the soldiers is Kong, and that's a total misunderstanding. There's no mammals that are just out to eat them. And the big crocodile thing would be cool, but we've already got a reptilian menace in the skull crawlers. We've already got insects that are menacing. Well, the spider's not an insect, but you know what I mean. Um,
There were also supposed to be bats, I think, some kind of bat-like creature. I remember.
um, okay, a part of me would say that I would rather have big bats than the pterodactyl things that were in this movie,
Yeah,
but
but that we had that in '05 though.
exactly, we just had the big bats in '05, and even more effectively in the video game. So,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, it would have been nice to have. It also would have been nice to see one of those big octopuses, if you will, actually menace some humans.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that's what I was gonna say. That's the one I was kind of the most disappointed with, even though I really love that scene.
Unless that octopus is also the last of his kind. Um,
Maybe that's why Kong saved all of it. You know, so he can store up all the meat. But yeah,
there,
no,
there,
I agree with you. I really love this movie. I think it's a fantastic giant monster romp. This is one of the most fun, one of the most effective. Just, I think it's the most of all the ones recently. It's the most successful at what it sets out to do.
also appreciate about Robert's decision to not just put the credits over black.
Hmm.
He talks about that in the commentary. It's from what he says, it's like super cheap to just put something behind the credits, and nobody does it. And I think it's a great touch because you're you're sitting in the theater, you're waiting for this after credit sequence that either you don't know whether it's coming or maybe you heard the news that there was going to be one. At least it gives you something a little bit more interesting to look at when there's 7 minutes of credits scrolling past. This was also something I appreciated in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 this year.
Hmm.
There was like shit in the credits. It was aesthetic. It was pleasing to look at. It was 70s delicious.
Yep, totally with you.
So do that more often, Hollywood.
While we
If
wait
you're
to
gonna
do commentaries in your post-credit scenes like Mad Men.
if you're gonna give me cheap ass Blu-ray menus, you cheap motherfuckers, then at least give me something to look at during the credits. You assholes.
Mm. Well, we can thank Eric W. Thompson for his legal assistance on Kong and all the Skull Islands.
That's Eric W. Thompson, PC. Thank you very much. I see that logo every time, and I'm like, oh, the end, and then I'm like, oh no, the songs.
And there are a lot.
There are a lot. The first time I saw this movie, I was a little annoyed with how many songs there were because I thought it was like, they're doing the Suicide Squad thing. But having seen the movie now more times than I'd like to admit, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
I think
I think it works.
I think they're used much better than the songs in Suicide Squad, and they all sort of have a similar, theme because they're all tied to the same time period.
Ooh, Quebec also helped out in this movie. Very nice to know.
Yes, I think some of the like Saigon, quote unquote, I think that might have been in Quebec, or some of the stuff with John Goodman at the beginning. You'd be hard pressed to find a movie that isn't at least partially filmed in Quebec anyway.
I think this is one of the most fun post-credit scenes post-Iron Man. Like, it's one of the ones that knows how to have fun with it. Like, I like that. I like that Conrad is like, are you just gonna sit there alone in the dark?
Yeah, it's super meta. Kind of reminds me of the end credits from Deadpool. But it's interesting that it is such a fun after post-credit scene because there's not a lot going on.
No, it doesn't really tell us anything we didn't know, except that A, Godzilla's in this universe, and B, so is Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah.
Right. Well, if you're a person going to see this movie who A, doesn't pay attention to spoilers on the internet, and B, knows something about the Godzilla mythos, then this post-credit scene reveals a lot to you.
I mean, it blew my mom's mind.
She satisfied both of those requirements. She wasn't paying attention to the stuff that was leaking online, and she knew the monsters. Those are kind of the two requirements in order for this to really to really blow you away like it should. But as someone who knew it was coming, knew that these monsters were going to be in the sequel, I still found it very well executed.
Could we get a glimpse at like the ideas of the designs, and we get to hear Godzilla's roar. Yeah, that was cool in the theater. I was like, ah.
That'd tie me over for 2 years.
Yeah, I feel like every MonsterVerse movie should have the Godzilla roar. It's kind of the thing to tie them all together.
I really wish, because I really love the 2014 roar too.
Yeah, it's grown on me over the years. Yeah, I didn't love it initially. It didn't always strike me well, but it's grown on me.
I really wish that Godzilla 2 hadn't gotten pushed back to 2019, because this is going to be a long stretch. At least we have Pac Rim 2 next year to tie me over a little. But
and we have the anime Godzilla movie as well.
That's true. It's going to be a long stretch to tie me over until the next MonsterVerse film. But then it's going to be like really awesome for 2 years, because we'll have 2 of them in a row. But then who knows what will happen after that?
Yeah, they don't have any announcements. I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong is kind of the ultimate. Is this whole thing going to even work? So I guess they have to see how that goes.
Yeah. I really hope that makes the money. If it doesn't, we're not going to get...
We're not going to get a Kong sequel, which is what I want. I want him to have his own adventure again. I want him to get I want him to get kidnapped by Doctor Who and fight Mechani-Kong.
I don't know if we can have a Kong sequel, Bill.
Why?
Well, you know what? We will have a Kong sequel, because Hollywood wouldn't have the balls to kill him off. But if we're being realistic here, Godzilla should skull fuck him in this fight. But whatever.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, and I don't think they're going to end up... It's not going to be a fight to the death. It's going to be a fight until something else happens.
I know, and that's sad. Damn it, I'm tired of that formula.
I'm hoping that they don't have to fight something bigger. I'm hoping that they're drawn together by human intervention, and then they sort of team up to stop whatever the humans did. That's what I'm hoping it is. I'm not saying like they have some kind of big robot or something. I'm saying like they did something to... They contrived some scenario to get them to fight, and then Kong and Godzilla have to get themselves out of it.
No big robot, but I would love Mechagodzilla. No,
I mean, they could have even just like fenced them off on Skull Island or something, and turned Skull Island into they could have like started the process of turning Skull Island into more of like a Monster Island type of thing, where it's like a prison, and Godzilla and Kong could team up to stop that. Like, I would be fine with something like that. I just don't want them to team up against like a bigger monster, because especially since we would have just seen Godzilla fight Ghidorah, you know? And there's not much beyond Ghidorah outside of like a Destroya that's gonna threaten Godzilla beyond him, you know?
Yeah, that's the problem. You could do Destroya, but I don't think they would, just because...
Kong would stand no chance against Destroya.
There's not enough American audience recognition. We're never going to get Destroya in this universe.
Biollante, you could do Biollante, but again, that's another one where it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, most American audience members aren't going to know what the fuck that is. If anything gets adapted from the Japanese franchise, it'll be things that the general public is aware of. You know, the general public, who, you know, maybe have seen 1 or 2 Godzilla movies in their life, they know about Mothra and King Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla, and some of them might even know Rodan. But I don't think we're getting any Destroyas. That's a pretty deep cut.
What about King Kong enemies? Like, I don't know.
He doesn't have any.
Exactly, that's the problem.
What are they gonna team up against the T-Rex? Be the shortest fight in history.
That's the issue. It's like, why are Kong and Godzilla gonna team up at all? You know, like they might not go there. They might not go there. We still don't know.
That's what worries me, because there's no good way to do it, but they kind of have to, because they've set them both up as heroes in this universe. So they have to have a way.
They've set them both up as like apex predators trying to balance out ecosystems. Godzilla's ecosystem is just way bigger.
Yeah, essentially. And there's no way to do it and satisfy everyone, because, you know, first of all, if you make it a fight to the death, then you're screwed either way, because you've set up both of these monsters to be sympathetic in this universe. If you kill Godzilla, then all the Godzilla fans are going to be like, that doesn't make any sense. And if you kill, and it doesn't, honestly. But if you kill Kong, then all the Kong fans are going to be like, I like Kong.
Right. Also, I would like to see a solo Kong sequel, because we've never really had that done successfully.
Also, let's be real though. If it was a fight to the death, like Godzilla wins, right? Like,
Yeah, well,
there's no.
probably. Probably.
There are people who seriously disagree with that, and I'm like, how do you even think that
I
could
don't
happen?
seriously disagree with it. We don't know the variables yet. We don't know what Kong's going to be like. So we have to see that first, and then we can determine it, you know? But realistically, yeah, I mean, probably not.
I mean,
But
Godzilla's bigger, and I know Kong's gonna grow. Don't fucking type that in the comments, you bitches. I know Kong's gonna grow, but I really hope he doesn't grow as big as Godzilla, because that's
we
stretching
also
things.
know
And
that Godzilla's probably, like, way older, though.
I'd also like to see Kong be a little smaller than Godzilla, just because I would like him to have to use his sort of other advantages, speed, agility, shit like that in the fight.
Right. I'm with you.
Because that's how I think you make it different from like the '62 film where Kong was scaled up to Godzilla size, and Godzilla wasn't as strong at that point anyway than he got later on in the franchise, and so you just had them punch each other. I want something a little bit more interesting than that.
Well, as we always say, I guess we'll have to see. Let me also just say this, though.
Godzilla breathes fire, Kong people. Like, unless they give Kong the lightning powers from '62, which I really hope they don't do that, because how are they going to explain that? There's no...
Godzilla's atomic breath in this universe, though, is a little. It's a little powered down. It's a little more kind of explosion-y than it is like pure beam of radiation.
Sure. Well, it's more like a stream of fire than it is a beam. But I mean, fire hurt Kong in this movie.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm not saying it's not going to do anything. I'm just saying that they'll make him tougher, you know? They'll write a version of Kong that will stand up to Godzilla. So
I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be real with you. That's one of the major things that's always pissed me off about '62. Doesn't make any sense that Kong wins that fight. I'm sorry. I don't care if
he
was a
doesn't
good
really
guy.
win. He more just kind of surfaces afterwards.
He didn't win that fight. He abandoned it.
If anything, I mean, have you seen the Matt Frank rendition of that fight where it's less of a victory there? It's like they just kind of split up. Where Kong just swims, Kong goes to the surface like he would have to, swims off, and Godzilla goes down to the depths. And that's what always made sense to me, anyway. It's only a victory because they see Kong, you know, like Godzilla's disappeared. It's only a victory in that Godzilla doesn't kill him, you know, like the only, like, because that he doesn't just rise up to the surface and go, fuck this, psh, you know. If he would have, it would have been over. Anyway, so...
But the way the movie presents it, it's like, Kong won, now he's going to swim
absolutely.
off to his
I mean,
island.
if you read the script, it says that Kong won, so yeah. But, you know, it's still ambiguous. So we'll have to see how they play it in 2020.
We have an opportunity in 2020 to right the wrongs of 1962.
So we'll see how they do it. All in all, though, I'm happy that instead of just straight up remaking King Kong, they've done this fun thing of throwing two of my favorite movie characters back together again. So I couldn't be happier. And I couldn't be happier with this first outing for Kong.
I would have liked to have seen Sam Jackson go up against Godzilla, and that would have been a movie. No. Yeah, this is great. Everybody go see Kong Skull Island if you haven't already.
It's better than Ghostbusters 2.
Better than Ghostbusters 2. Probably not better than Ghostbusters 1, but it's definitely better than
don't be an insane person, but it's definitely better than 2.
Definitely better than the reboot.
It's better than seasons 3 and 4 of the real Ghostbusters.
Better than the Extreme Ghostbusters.
Probably. All right.
Better than whatever that Ghostbuster shit was from the '60s with the gorilla.
70s, but all right. Anyway.
And if you've enjoyed these commentary series, is the weeks now of Kong or Talking Apes, and you think, wow, you guys should do some more of these commentaries. Don't worry, we have some ideas. You might see some more before the year's up even. Who knows? Wink, wink.
We have
Nod,
one. We have one that we're pretty sure we're going to do, and then a few other ones that are sort of up in the air.
Well, there's tons of ideas. There's no shortage of movies that are in a series or connected by a theme. So
yeah. So we've got ideas. It's all just a matter of executing them. But this this video has gone on. So let's wrap this up, shall we? Until next time, I am Bill Worcester, aka Zazubaar.
I'm Super DM64.
And we're millionaires, boys! We shared it with all of you. Well, the people coming off this Skull Island, not millionaires. Lucky to be alive. That's it.